welcome to the conversation. I am still beset with throat issues, but my name is Chad McCanna.
Chad Deep Throat McCanna.
Yeah.
The deep throat being the mucus that's just kind of settled deep within your throat.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Hyle Russell.
Sorry, I just want to cut off that line of dialogue before it goes down any ill-begotten directions.
I'm still Hyle Russell, and I have gotten sick, and in the time since our last episode, I've also gotten mostly better. So,
bully for you, asshole.
Well, look, E3 is a week in the past now, but the memories are with us forever, and... unfortunately, post E3 has not been the most friendliest time for.
Yeah, clearly. It's just basically been a comedy of horrible errors. Not the fun errors like you get in baseball when Yakety Sax plays and someone drops an infield pop. This is the kind of errors where you have to put your cat down and then your wife gets a whole bunch of incisions in her abdomen, putting her out of commission for a week. That's been my post E3 experience.
You realize that's like I can do nothing with that. Like that's not a setup.
Yeah, there's no amount of Bill Clinton impressions that can turn that into something funny.
There really isn't, and I'm really sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just we knew the surgery was coming, but the whole thing with Beaker was just really rough, and as you can see, my voice is nowhere, no closer to being amended. But here we are. We're gonna keep at it, plugging away. DK Vine, and I do thank everyone for their sympathy and understanding. In our rollout of E3 content being a little slower than we would have liked.
If Iwata had that excuse every Nintendo Direct, then I think people would understand a lot more of Nintendo's decision making.
But please understand, a beloved pet has just tragically died. I would feel a lot better about their directs.
I know. I think I would come out of every direct feeling all right.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, I actually understand that. Poor guy.
Poor guy. Let's never fire him. My post E3 experience, comparatively, I got out of it relatively unscathed. My flight was canceled, and I was vomited on the plane. So that's...
But hey, at least you did get on a plane.
Yeah, I know. And I even told the guy after I was wiping the puke up off of my arm, I said, I would much rather be vomited on than stay another day in LA. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's the price of leaving. You know, with a gang, it's blood in, blood out. Yours was I don't know what the in was, but it was certainly digestives out.
Yeah, at the very least, I made him laugh, which and then I had to sleep 5 hours on a plane reeking of vomit. So, whoo, LA! It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and that's just United Airlines.
Yeah, you flew Virgin. You asshole. You got on the nice plane.
Yeah, Virgin still smells like vomit, but at least there's purple lighting.
There's purple lighting, just like does that tie into the whole Virgin thing? Is that like the color of a hymen?
What? What? You're just jabbering already. You're just making the color of a hymen is purple light. What are you talking about?
Not light, but the shade of purple. Could that be the color of a hymen?
What? Oh man, and you could have gone like Roxanne, put on the red light. You could have. There was a.
Those Roxanne ain't no virgin.
I know, but there was a David Bowie Hooer reference that you could have gone for. Instead, you went for the color purple, not being
Wait, David Bowie. You made a
that's
police
Sting,
reference.
isn't it? That's fucking Sting.
That's fucking Sting in the Police.
Yeah. Never mind.
What? Wow, you are.
I am off my game.
That's okay. Because you're off your game, but we've got some other games to discuss.
Yeah. Thank God.
So this episode is a bit of a bonus one, even though it's kind of been slotted into our regular schedule.
Right.
We kind of promised there may have been bonus episodes last week during E3, but unfortunately we ran out of time. one, Chad was just dead on his feet as the show progressed, and
Oh, you'll see that in the more and more video content we release. Day by day, I just get worse and worse until the point where I'm basically doing a Harvey Firestein impression on day 3.
yeah. Well, and that's also, it's like the White House has the rainbow lights on it tonight in celebration of the Supreme Court's ruling in favor
Right.
of same-sex marriage. So you could just put on a Harvey Firestein voice in celebration of the ruling.
It's a slow motion alien explosion. That's really what these rainbow lights are meant to signify. Yeah. So look forward to our Mike Currington interview where I ask him about his mother.
No, but we were going to record this episode last week. Chad's health was not holding up, and we were also kicked out of our lovely Airbnb a day early, or not a day early, but several hours earlier than planned.
Oh,
so
fuck that place. I left them a strongly worded review on Airbnb.
it did have some strong words in there.
Yeah, I told them that they should be ashamed of themselves. Like, oh man, like I didn't use foul language because I didn't want it to get flagged and not show up on their account as a legit review. But oh man, well, I think I sent it to you, didn't I?
Oh well, I gave you the line about you need to shave the floors because it's covered with hair.
Yeah, I did use that. Yeah,
Yeah, so I expect royalties from that. Yeah.
from my Airbnb customer review.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna rake it in over that one.
So we didn't have time to record this last week, but before we get to our E3 wrap up with a lot of the rest of the staff, we couldn't get on these shows because timing is a bitch when you're out at E3 in person. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a wrap up episode hopefully next week, but this week. I felt like it was important to do this episode because this was a once in a lifetime experience we had, Chad.
Yeah.
And really, I'm not even sure what we can talk about because there's a lot of stuff being freely discussed that I don't think it is supposed to be shared. So.
Right, and some of it has come out. I guess we'll touch on
like Harvey Firestein.
Yeah. Oh no, he's always been out and proud, and now he can get married in whatever state he wants. Man, I'm so fucking enthused by that. Not to derail, but I didn't even realize that was up for debate at the Supreme Court.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's what you get when you don't keep up with the political news, Chad. You miss out on the good stuff as well as the bad.
That's true. But hey, at least I got a really awesome CNN push notification this morning out of nowhere. Like, hey, gay marriage is legal.
I was really hoping you were going to find out through the DK Vine Facebook page. I made a very tasteful post with Jolly Roger earlier today.
Oh, I remember when there was, I forget which state it was, but there was a gay rights thing going on a few years ago, and we changed our Facebook page to that equality symbol, and in one half of the equal sign was Jolly, and in one half was Mary Maggie.
The only two openly gay characters in the Donkey Kong universe.
Well, 10% of you is probably gay.
Well, that depends on one's personal canon where you falls on the Kinsey scale.
Oh, that's true. I guess if we are talking a gradient of sexual identity, then maybe 10% is callous.
Yeah. So, it depends where you fall on the Kinsey scale. But yes, you could be an openly gay or bi or transgendered Donkey Kong universe character.
Yeah, and judging by the stance that my Xbox avatar always takes, he like has this sassy arm on his hip. I'm guessing that you as embodied by me is certainly on that scale.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, you might have some unresolved issues you need to work out, but luckily we're a much more open and tolerant society, so you shouldn't run into as many hardships as you once did.
In my mind, every time you're saying you, it's capital Y.
Oh yeah,
because you're referring to the character, not to the pronoun.
By the way, we're recording this Friday night. As of an hour or two ago, you just became the newest inductee into the DK Vine Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, you.
I know,
but not you at home. I'm referring to you.
Right. So I think it's a proud moment for you and I. So anyway,
and all Americans.
So our last episode was the E3 Nintendo episode, and whatever, it was what it was. But the episode before that was our Microsoft episode, and where we left off with the Microsoft episode is we had met Greg Mails and a couple other Rare people, and had kind of an amazing experience with them, and we were kind of still flabbergasted. We were with Amir and Steve, fellow Rare fans, fellow travelers, and we were just so enthusiastic, and I thought that was the highlight of E3. I thought that was going to be like the peak, the peak of the mountain.
You meet Greg Mails. Who else was there? Was it Joe Neat and?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's all such a fucking blur at this point. It's just so much stuff happened since then, and So we were getting ready to go to a party. The official name of it, I believe, was the Xbox Media Showcase event.
That's right.
And we had somehow gotten on the list for this exclusive party in downtown Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And it was...
That's one thing we learned how to do when we lived there is grease the wheels.
We didn't learn how to.
No, we didn't do it. We didn't know how to do it. We stumbled into this off the street, and they didn't kick us out.
No, the wheels fucking backed over us when we lived in Los Angeles. No, this is we had an in, and we got in. I won't go into any more details than that.
Let's leave it there.
Okay, but so we went with Amir, and actually didn't Steve have to leave?
Yeah, Steve was only able to make it. Here's the level of Steve's dedication. He flew in from the kind of, I think he said the Toronto area of Canada. So just north of me here in New York, flew in for the Xbox Media event, wasn't able to stay any longer, flew all the way back. So just for that little, 2-hour window, but he fucking made it, man.
Which was actually my original plan for E3. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad. I'm very glad I got to stay, but at least Steve got to meet Greg Mails, got to have that experience.
Right.
So yeah, we went with Amir and Dan from Killer Instinct Central, and we got an
Uber.
An Uber, yes, we got an Uber that was like some sort of armored SUV.
It was like $50 for 2 miles of Ubering. It was absurd.
2 miles in LA. That's about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we arrive at this event, and we knew we were on the list. We got confirmation, email confirmation from people that we are on this list. However, we arrived and we weren't on any said list.
Well, it turns out there were 2 lists.
There was 2 lists.
There was one for the beautiful people and one for the nerds. And when we arrived, they clearly only had the beautiful people and Microsoft employee list.
Yeah, well, was it even Microsoft? I thought Microsoft employees were already in.
Well, I assume some of them who were showing up a little later were able to get in with. I don't know, but anyway, there was certainly a caste system on display, which goes hand in hand perfectly with LA. It's like if you are not a celebrity, then you might as well stand on a sidewalk for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, if when you play the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, if you are like anything below 3 degrees or above 3 degrees, where it's a really stretch, then yeah, you have to wait on the fucking sidewalk like the scum that you are.
Yeah. Although there is a caveat for the entire supporting cast of Hollow Man. They also have to wait on the sidewalk.
Right. Well, if you're Hollow Man, you can just go in and nobody will see you.
That's true. That is the virtue of being Hollow Man. You can sneak into Microsoft events.
So yeah, but nobody told us that this list that had the priority was just for the beautiful people. So we were kind of fretting. We were like, did we get forgotten about? Did we get left off the list? So while we were waiting on a sidewalk, by the way, what was this place called? The Majestic? It was like the Gothic Asshole.
Where you going? The Gothic Asshole. No, it was the Majestic.
Okay.
Which I want to say, isn't that like one of those kind of Spielberg knockoff Frank Darabont movies?
It was a Jim Carrey movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that I believe was based on a Stephen King short story.
Well, what isn't these days?
Well, especially something from Frank Darabont. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's based off of the real world Majestic or a Majestic in Maine. Probably a Majestic in Maine.
Did MTV have the real world Majestic? Was that like a
That would have been the most boring, because this was a very strangely laid out event hall, because it like had basement upon basement, and we discovered a secondary basement where the beautiful people were playing Halo 5 in these like rows that looked like they were being farmed for their nutrients in the Matrix.
Well, I made a Matrix jokes the second we walked in because it reminded me of, and I know you're a big fan of the Matrix sequels, Chad.
I love them. There's nothing I like more in a sequel to an intellectual Plato allegory than an extended muddy cave rave sequence.
Well, do you remember in the third one, The Matrix Revolutions, when our heroes, Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity, they went into this club where the vampires and werewolves like to congregate.
Oh, the werewolves, of course, being rejects from previous versions of the Matrix.
Of course. So this club is like this gothic club where the supernatural elements of the Matrix like to go to have orgies. And this is exactly what this club was, right down to the green lighting. Hence, because it was a Microsoft Xbox event, there was green lighting aplenty.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my Facebook posts. I was like, oh, yeah, we're where vampires go in the Matrix to fuck.
Yeah, they were just missing one or two albino men with dreadlocks. Had they been present, it would have sealed the deal.
Yeah. So, by the way, it's worth mentioning that while we were waiting on a sidewalk, a guy constantly screamed at us for being on the sidewalk.
Oh, yes. After telling us to queue up on the sidewalk, at one point he said, "This is my sidewalk. After 6 o'clock, it turns into my sidewalk." Like he was, we're like, well, what do you want us to do? They told us to stand in line on the sidewalk. You stand in line on that side of the sidewalk. This is my sidewalk.
This is quintessential Los Angeles, by the way, because people cling to whatever power they feel like they can cling to. So for this man, this was about 10 feet of sidewalk were his. He was the mayor of that sidewalk.
No one ever elected me mayor of this sidewalk, but I staked my claim, damn it. I put in my time, and this is mine.
And by the way, a homeless man was also berating us during this time, calling us nerds for not giving him money.
Oh, and he even made 2 laps, because that's how long we were waiting outside the event. He didn't realize that we were the same nerds that he had already insulted, and he asked us for money again. And I told him, like, hey, man, you already asked us. Get the fuck out of here.
And this is something we encountered a little bit in Los Angeles, too, outside of the general E3 area, being called nerds for being at E3. Like, the derision that old media has for new media is something that's remarkable. Like, oh, video games. Well, you're filthy nerds. This is LA, man. This is where real media happens.
Even within that quote unquote new media, there's a derision for our sort of fan-based media from the traditional games media.
Right.
There are several, nested camps of looking down upon the new folks.
Even then, we were looking down upon the neckbeards. So it's just this constant, like, backstabbing culture in E3. It's something you wouldn't really think. You would think, but E3 would just be all kindred spirits, but it's really not. It's definitely kind of a hostile, competitive environment.
Yeah, although in fairness, I think that in our Microsoft E3 episode 2 shows ago, we detailed why we are not fans of of our neckbeard representative.
No, I think we did DK Vine proud during our time at E3. And well, let's get into why. Okay, so we eventually got into this event. We were the first ones in, thankfully, on the ugly people list, of course.
Yes.
The beautiful people were already in, and they were in their balconies and basements away from the rift raft.
Yeah, Dan Harmon had already drunk himself stupid by the time we got in there.
Yes, Dan Harmon of Community and Rick and Morty fame was there.
Yeah.
And
basically despondent. Amir went up and said, "Hey man, I'm a big fan," and he just sort of looked up and grunted.
Right, so,
he's a drinker.
So anyway, so we go inside the gothic asshole, and the sheer like disgusting opulence of the place was took me back. It was just like, do we belong here? Because we're in here. We're we're not dressed to the nines. We're wearing fan gamer shirts. I'm wearing cargo shorts. You're wearing jeans. It's like, do we really belong here?
Yeah.
And then women show up and start handing you free alcohol.
Oh yeah, they were like, hey, would you like this vodka pomegranate thing that tastes delicious and has not a single trace of alcohol in it? What? Why, yes, ma'am. I would have 3 of those, thank you.
Well,
Glug.
luckily we made a pact right then and there. We can't get drunk. We can't get drunk at this event. We need to pace ourselves. So we had one.
We're not all Dan Harmon.
No. So we had one drink and one beer.
Yeah.
And then water, lots of water.
There's so much water, so much water. But we were traipsing around Los Angeles for 4 days straight. So like, I don't think I peed the entire time, but I was just consuming so much water.
Yeah, I peed a couple times with Nintendo of Japan employees, and I think that was about it.
Yeah. You saved it though for when it really mattered.
Oh yeah.
When you could overhear a language that you don't understand.
Actually, no, I didn't have any urine coming out. I had to slit my own dick just to get something out of it.
Well, you don't want to be awkward.
No, of course not.
So what I loved about this event, so we got in. I think it took about a minute and a half of just sort of ambling into the entrance. That I had a drink shoved at me. I turned around and found you, Amir, and Dan Duncan from Killer Instinct Central, I believe. You guys were already talking with 3 Rare employees.
Yeah, so I look over and I see there's a guy in a Rare shirt. And I was like, let's pounce. You know? And
we clogged up the entrance, by the way.
We did,
just
but
standing right there.
Which was standard operating procedure for the night. There was no fire marshal in attendance. Because we all know that fire marshals are ugly people who don't belong at swank events for the Beverly Hills elite. And
later we found out that the fire marshal was having his nutrients drained out for the benefit of Halo 5.
Right. Well, Halo 5, it's have you seen it? It's very impressive.
Yeah. And hey, if you want to play it, you better be prepared to wait in line 7 hours because it's worth it.
Oh my! I can't believe people wasted their entire E3s just trying to play Halo.
That's mind blowing. You have 3 days, and there's so much to see. And really, Halo 5 HoloLens means that much to you that you will waste a third of your conference.
See, my whole thing about E3 was I was there to network and meet my idols.
Mm-hmm.
And also film shenanigans for DK Vine. I wasn't actually there to play the games. If I could play any games, great, but I didn't want to waste my time at the video game conference playing video games.
Fair enough.
So anyway, so the 3 Rare guys we met, they were, by the way, it should point out that we were also on Cloud 9 at this point because while waiting in line, we found out through Greg Mail's Twitter, he updated his profile pic with Captain Black Eye.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh my God, is Sea of Thieves DKU already? And keep in mind, we had already brought up Captain Black Eye to him earlier in the day.
Yeah, a few hours earlier than that, when we met him, probably around 11 or 12 in the afternoon, or in the morning rather. We said, hey, if Royston or Captain Black Eye made it in here, our audience would really like it.
I believe my exact words were perhaps a realistic version of Captain Black Eye. Yeah. And I think Dan had the same conversation. Dan kind of had split away from us, but he met up with Greg Mails, and he also said the same thing.
Yeah.
So then a couple hours later, here's Captain Black Eye, never before seen image of him on Greg Mails' Twitter.
We just lost our shit.
We have more to discuss about that, but maybe at a later time. So we got in, already started drinking, like, because they just throw alcohol at you, and what are you going to do? Hey man, it's LA, so it's Joe Neat, Nick Burton, and Adam Park of Rare.
Yeah,
and so we quickly met them, and this initial conversation was about 10 minutes long, and it was
like we were like, this was before we really met. This is our first real interaction with the guys from Rare that are there to promote Rare Replay. The guys we met earlier in the day were all Sea of Thieves team members.
And it should be pointed out that we never saw Greg Mails again at E3 because he is an extremely shy man, and I completely understand because I have a bit of agoraphobia as well. So being with all these people at E3.
I don't know that he's shy so much as he recognized that Captain Bones needed an escort in Los Angeles or he would be arrested.
Well, that's what I love. Greg Mails did not stick around the show floor. He absconded with Captain Bones, which we'll get to Captain Bones because oh my god,
Captain Bones is great.
So all this stuff we haven't discussed on the conversation yet. I just can't believe it.
One of my just on a slight Captain Bones tangent. I think it was like day 2 or 3 when it sort of like we had already been interacting with Captain Bones for a solid 72 hours, and I think it just dawned on one of us that wait a second. His name is just fucking Captain Bones, and the fact that it
no
was
clever puns.
The fact that it was like the laziest thing they could have called a skeleton pirate. We fucking like had a fatigue-laden giggle fit for a solid 10 minutes about the name Captain Bones.
It's literally as lazy as Mr. Pants.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so. It's just Captain Bones done.
Yeah.
So this is our first time. Yeah, you're right. Actually, meeting a lot of the rare people we would be interacting with for the rest of the show.
And the conversation, It very quickly turned to the games that they got canceled, and we were just talking because we didn't really know what was in Rare Replay at this point. And later on we would find that we would be having a lot of discussions about Rare games that never made it out in their final form. But this conversation in particular, it turned out that I believe Nick Burton was on the Dinosaur Planet / Star Fox Adventures team.
Yeah, because we had sussed out from Greg Mails and the other Rare guys earlier in the day that Rare Replay would have cut content and possibly documentaries. So we were naturally thinking, are they going to have cut content, and will things like the original Dinosaur Planet factor into that?
Right.
So the conversation steered towards Dinosaur Planet. And hey, Nick Burton worked on Dinosaur Planet. Go figure.
And he did. Admittedly, he asked a lot of what he said about that game to be off the record, but I think the one thing that's more or less common knowledge is that what we got in Star Fox Adventures is essentially Dinosaur Planet.
Yeah. And I think this is something I discussed somewhere on DK Vine back when the video, like the long form video of Dinosaur Planet leaked a couple years ago.
Right.
And it was just like, oh my god, this game is basically Star Fox Adventures with a few things rejiggered. I mean, it's not...
The only major difference is that the warp stone in Dinosaur Planet is actually there are 2 swap stones that allow you to switch between Saber and Crystal.
Right.
Otherwise, and there's no Randorn.
And there's R-Wing missions added.
Right. But other than that, like, it's kind of the same game.
Yeah, and which is what he basically said. So it was kind of cool to hear that straight from the Nick Burton's mouth.
Yeah.
But and by the way, whatever is in this drink I'm drinking, I'm a lightweight as it is, but this is a strong drink. So I'm like,
oh, you're having a little nip on a Friday night, huh?
No. I'm talking about at the event.
Oh, I thought you meant right now as we're recording.
I'm drinking tea right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm posh and refined at the moment.
Okay.
But no,
Pinky's up.
I'm already like super buzzed at this point, and I'm just like kind of I'm already overwhelmed by this whole experience, but I'm also slightly inebriated because I'm a cheap date.
Yeah, you are a super lightweight, I think over the course of the evening I had 4 or 5 drinks, but I was punctuating it.
You were sneaking drinks then, because I was keeping an eye on you, making sure. You fucker!
I know my own limits, and they are definitely higher than yours, but I was drinking like 3 bottles of water for every 1 drink of alcohol I had. So
all right, well, you fucker. Well, anyway, so I was. This is why we did Which Brothers Bear Is Best with Craig Duncan, because you were fucking smashed.
Yeah, that's right. That I never would have had. I needed liquid courage to ask for that. No, but I mean, I was drinking, or I was eating all the tapas that you refused to touch, despite the fact that there were vegetarian options. I did have something in my stomach too.
There's homeless people right out there starving, and they're giving us catered food. Why don't you feed the homeless, you free rich LA fucks?
Hey, that food was a little too nerdy for that homeless guy.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm like already like feeling the effects of the alcohol. Here I am talking with 3 guys from Rare about fucking Dinosaur Planet.
Yeah.
I'm on the fucking moon. I mean, I might as well be in space. This is just so surreal.
This is unfucking heard of. We were just having a casual conversation about Dinosaur Planet with a guy who fucking worked on Dinosaur Planet. Like, what the fuck?
What I found interesting about the way we initially interacted with everybody, because eventually, like I've got very relaxed around certain Rare guys, and yeah, of course, as did you. But the way we initially approached them is, I was always like, you would think, based on our DK Vine personas, that I would be the one trying to get them to autograph all sorts of boxes and various paraphernalia. Like I would be gushing my inner fanboy all over them, and you would probably be the more reserved, kind of the more professional. Not that you weren't professional, but you would be hiding your fanboyism a little bit more. But it was actually completely reversed. I was afraid of tipping my fanboy hand too much, or my fanboy hat too much, while you were getting things autographed, like boxes and
okay, in fairness, I only had Greg Mayles autograph anything.
Okay,
but he's Greg fucking Mayles.
Yeah.
No, but I think that what made me feel like I could step out of that shell a little bit was the fact that Rare Replay was their big game of the show, and it was clearly a celebration by fans. They're all fans of those games too, whether or not they worked on them, even though the newer Rare employees, for fans. So it's like, if ever there was an appropriate time to wear my fan stripes on my sleeve, that was it. And they ate it up,
Well, they did, and see, I'm not knocking what you did. I almost wish I had the fortitude to be an overt fanboy, and I showed my fanboy colors over time in gradual installments, But
it wasn't like bombarding. I didn't just be like, hey, this is my favorite game, and I would really love if you could autograph it. Okay, thank you.
The only time you ever veered close to that was when you introduced yourself to Robin Beanland.
Oh my god, I'm so mortified by my first interaction with Robin Beanland, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, yes, but that.
I know. It was Robin Beanland, and I didn't know what to say. And I think I scared him.
You kind of scared. I thought about that in the shower this morning, and I started laughing.
Oh my god!
But look, you paved over it. Like that's. I don't think he's ever going to think about that interaction again. But no, it was just I don't know. I wanted to be seen as. I didn't want to be seen as a neckbeard, but the thing about the Rare guys that I don't think I realized was that they're probably not used to that in-person adulation.
Yeah.
That they probably kind of got a kick out of that, because everybody at like E3, at these Microsoft events, they're there to play Halo, check out the new Tomb Raider, and people were checking out Rare, and as the show went on, excitement for Rare Replay just grew and grew. It was kind of a palpable energy that you could feel.
And one thing that I really love about the Rare guys is that they are also super fans, but they're not of the neckbeard variety. They're sort of like they're basically the perfect DK Vine forum poster. They're like incredibly enthusiastic, articulate, socially adept, normal people.
They're also funny as hell.
Yeah, and they're super funny, and it actually it's kind of serendipitous, because we did discover that there are multiple Rare employees that lurk on DK Vine.
Yeah, so this is something we found out, and we're not going to say who.
No, of course not.
But we finally got confirmation that many Rare employees at E3 lurk on DK Vine. Yeah. So everybody behave.
and by behave, don't do anything differently from what you were doing, because then maybe they'll realize that we're onto them.
Yeah, but when I say there's never been a better time to join, there you go.
And you're specifically speaking to those Rare lurkers.
Yeah,
man up.
Yeah, join. Come
join.
On.
What's wrong with you?
We're all friends now. So, talking with Nick Burton is the one we talked with the most.
about Dinosaur Planet.
During this time, and this was the most interaction I think we had with Nick Burton during the entire show, because he was kind of busy the rest of the show, but it was really cool talking with him.
Yeah, we did meet Adam Park though, who he sort of became like my go-to Rare guy throughout the show.
So same here. Now, by the way, it should be noted that every time we met a new Rare employee, we kind of had this customary greeting where we gushed about Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves, told them how excited we were, how cool both looked, and we also told them how much we dug the new logo, which it's all true. It's like, we're being a little bit bootlickers here, but we're actually Rare fans, and
yeah, that's the thing. It's like nothing we were saying to any of these people was an exaggeration or in any way untrue. So it's not like we're just sitting there trying to be conciliatory or trying to get on their best side. This was just fans being fans, which is exactly what we were there for.
And honestly, I mean, I think Rare was pretty confident in their showings this year, which is why we were out there in the first place. But it was Rare Replay, Sea of Thieves. I think they knew, these are going to get the hardcore Rare fans excited, and I'm very happy with the reception Sea of Thieves has gotten. You got a few stick in the muds on the internet who are just like, who can't accept it. Like,
well, we don't even know precisely what it is. Thankfully, Saint Phil Spencer.
I'm glad you used this full title.
Yes, of course. Saint Phil Spencer, he of the Microsoft. It gave us a little bit more info about Sea of Thieves about a day ago, so we can touch on that a bit. But even when it was just a trailer that we knew next to nothing about, people were shitting on it because it was new and unfamiliar and scary. And if it's not a post-apocalyptic IP that we've already seen a million times,
no. From Rare, people wanted an IP they have seen. They wanted Banjo or Conquer.
Yeah, and if they got Banjo or Conquer, they would
complain about it.
Playtonic got there first. You should have done something new. So fuck off.
I really don't understand. And people are calling us out. They're saying we're shilling for Sea of Thieves. Like, Rare is paying us money.
Yeah, how dare we be enthusiastic about something we're enthusiastic about? Like, fuck off. Come on. We actually are looking forward to this game legitimately. What do you want?
It's a Rare pirate game where you island hop in the tropics.
Yes.
What? Like, I don't see how people... Like, I don't get where people aren't seeing the correlation between classic Rare and Sea of Thieves. It's the game Greg Mails has always wanted to make.
Yeah, when we gave him the Cameron Regal's map of the Rare island chain,
archipelago,
yeah, kind of synonymous, but sure.
It's a fancier word with more consonants.
All right, and I think we touched on this, but he basically looked at that and was like, it sort of crystallized for him, like, oh yeah, I've been making a whole bunch of islands in the tropics my entire career.
And that was kind of the most glorious moment of the meeting with Greg Mails, because it was kind of realizing why all these elements were in Rare games, islands, pirates. It was because Greg Mails has the same fetish we do, but we had that fetish because of Greg Mails.
Because of him.
Yeah. So it was just
all right, so let's move on. We'll certainly come back to Adam Park, because
Adam Park,
he is like the coolest fucking dude.
What a fucking cool guy! Like, he is. Well, we gotta touch on Adam Park. Not touch on him.
I'd love to touch on Adam Park.
He's a handsome guy. All the Rare guys. Can we just say how? I think I touched upon this with Greg Mails, but they're all so fucking fit. Like, it is like Connect really does wonders for them.
I had seen. Especially, even Craig Duncan, he's dropped quite a bit of weight from...
He's dropped the donuts. He's
the Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. That is like the laziest word association you could use to make fun of Craig Duncan.
But we did it. Go back to TED Talks 2014.
I know. But no, like, everyone is in great shape, and I have to... I know that they've been tweeting about, midday sporting events at Manor Park. So it's I don't know if it's a combination of that and just working on Connect Sports. But they're all looking really good.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay in shape, but these guys were like tone. It was like, god damn. So
that polo fabric isn't cheap. They were all decked out in their Rare black and blues. So
yeah. So let's talk about Craig Duncan.
Yeah.
because he was the next Rare guy we met.
That was shock. Like it was so cool though that we recognized him. We were just like, oh my god, that's Craig Duncan right there.
You recognized him before I did, because for some reason I wasn't thinking he was going to be there. I thought he was going to be with Phil Spencer and in their like private helijet, like hovering high above the city, like.
Yeah, like this is the Avengers, and they've sequestered the Tesseract above the LA Convention Center.
Yeah, that's it's plausible, So, yeah, Craig Duncan, he was just standing there. By the way, the Rare setup at the media showcase party, it was they had 3 monitors playing Rare Replay with nice seats, where you could sit down and actually enjoy the game, as compared to the E3 show floor where you had to stand.
Oh, and those were those seats that you could actually kind of squeeze in 2 people per seat, so you could do multiplayer. I think we played RC Pro Am 2.
Yeah. At one point, I was sitting there, and Amir dropped his tartar on the seat, and I was just like, "Oh man, you got tartar."
That was Dan. I saw it.
That was Dan. Okay,
that was Dan's tartar that got dropped down your back. Yeah.
So they also had a statue of Rash the Battletoad and Conker. Mm-hmm. And these were brand new statues they had commissioned. So if you really doubt that Rare is back in form for the long haul, they these classic statues in Twycross in Manor Park that they had set up, and then they infamously had moved outside during the great connectification of Rare. They commissioned new statues for their classic characters.
Well, and unfortunately, they also had a Banjo and a Kazooie that were at the show floor.
Can we talk about the Banjo and Kazooie?
Are we not allowed to?
Well, they weren't actually at the show floor. They had to remove them, but we saw pictures of it.
Yeah, we saw. I think we can. I mean, it's not like you're boating a secret Banjo-Kazooie title in development.
Well, no. But there is something interesting about that Banjo and Kazooie model that they made a statue, because these are all new statues, and the Banjo-Kazooie, they were the original models. They weren't the nuts and bolts models. They were the original models of Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah. And I think that might have been by virtue of the fact that, at the show floor, there were still a few games on Rare Replay that were locked, that, from what we understood, were still going through the final stages of QA. That included, the Xbox 360 titles and a few N64 ones like Conker and Jet Force Gemini.
Which they might still be removing some of the logos. I don't know. Is it? Well, it's all done. It's all done. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's more or less done. But I think that the reason those were the classic designs on those Banjo and Kazooie statues is because they were showing off classic Banjo and Kazooie.
But on the Rare Replay cover art and on all the in-game graphics,
but Nuts and Bolts is part of the collection,
right? But that's the Banjo they're going with. So I just find it interesting that the statue they had commissioned is the classic Banjo.
No. But what I'm saying is what they had on the show floor. Nuts and Bolts was not on the show floor, so I think it makes sense that of the Banjo representation that was there at E3. They had the classic designs.
Maybe, but these statues are also going up.
What are we arguing about?
These statues are also going up in Manor Park. So what I'm saying is, I think it's a clear indication that when we get a new Banjo game, the classic designs or something close to them are going to be utilized.
Wow, that is a huge leap for you to make. I think there is literally no way you can draw a direct correlation between statues and art style in a game that doesn't exist.
It's a quantum leap, but I'm going to Scott Bakula the hell out of this.
So you're going to be so Banjo and Kazooie are going to star in a substandard Star Trek series?
Have you ever seen Enterprise?
I've seen a few episodes of
Enterprise. Because I was going to say, I know your massive Star Trek rewatch that you wouldn't shut up about eventually petered out like sometime around Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, season 5 of Deep Space Nine. I just could not give a shit about the fucking Dominion because, god damn it, Worf is so inconsistent. Like, I love the character of Worf, and Michael Dorn is amazing, but he just stops behaving like a Klingon at all.
But that's the season everybody starts. That's when people rave about the show, is that later period Deep Space Nine when I got super serialized and
I was told like every single season of Deep Space Nine. Oh, you're almost to where it gets good. Oh, you're almost to where it gets good. Oh, you're where it gets good. Stick with it. And then a season later, oh, it's really good right now, isn't it? No, it's fucking not. Deep Space Nine turns into a blathering mess.
You at least saw the Vic Fontaine episodes, right?
Vic Fontaine, no, possibly. I don't.
He's the holodeck nightclub lounge singer who's like modeled after Tony Bennett.
No, I have not seen any Vic Fontaine episodes.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, maybe that's where it gets good.
That's where it gets good.
Okay, yeah.
Although I was really disappointed with Vic Fontaine's characterization in the 7th season. I felt it just wasn't true to his character.
That sounds like to me the episode of Next Gen where they all are merry men in a Robin Hood holodeck simulation, only way more irritating.
God, the holodeck is just like the laziest contrived. Like, oh, would it be really fun to write a Robin Hood episode, guys? To the holodeck.
Oh God! And then in that movie, I think
what are we talking about?
I think it was in Generations where the cold open.
Oh yeah, they're on the
they're on a pirate ship
or something.
Yeah. Oh fucking hell! Like fuck off. Fuck off.
So anyway,
yeah. And I also, by the way, I think it's hilarious that that somewhere on the Enterprise D there's a closet that has all these costumes because you can't just have the holodeck generate the costumes on your naked body. Yeah. Like there's literally a costume closet somewhere next to the holodeck that's filled with like pirate gear or Robin Hood gear.
It's the most essential thing they pack. I mean, that's the last thing they jettison, in emergencies is their costuming.
Yeah, don't forget the Sherlock Holmes jacket. Because at some point, Data might become obsessed with Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah, but then they find out that Khan played him in the 2000s. Right. So anyway, we met Craig Duncan, and he's just standing there wearing this rare shirt that he wore on stage at the press conference or whatever, the stage show earlier in the day.
Well, he has to make up for the constant wardrobe changes of Phil Spencer by virtue of sheer T-shirt steadfastness.
Yeah, and this is the shirt that has all these classic rare properties, including the parrot from Sea of Thieves. So it's a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. And Craig Duncan, he kind of got a bad rap when he was first introduced to the fandom a couple years ago. He, of course, made the infamous best bowling ever comment.
Right.
Where, in defense, because he came on right around the time of Kinect Sports Rivals, which was already a game Rare was being requested to make by Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And so he was, getting behind it. But he had the infamous quote where he said that, honestly, he felt like the Rare fan base didn't know what they wanted. And look, they've made the best bowling game that there ever was, ever on any platform, etc. Right. And of course, people kind of lost it at that. Actually meeting the man, he is the most fucking sweet man.
And he's such a huge Rare fan. That's to me the big takeaway. Like he's the nicest guy. He was he knew who we were. He knew who like Amir and Dan were.
Unfortunately, he knew who we were, yes.
And that was another cool thing. Like everyone at Rare we met, they're like, "Oh, you're from DK Vine." And like even Adam Park was like oh man, like once we heard you guys were coming, we were so excited. It was so fucking surreal.
It was such a thrill, and it was of course a ego boost, but it was also just the fact that we don't exist in a vacuum, that everything we've done over the last 15 years, Rare's aware of it. So it's kind of like, oh, I wish you hadn't seen that.
Yeah, maybe I'm rethinking that Wario and Waluigi are Nazis article that I wrote when I was 15.
Yeah, to be fair though, that does give us cover. We were really young when we did a lot of the embarrassing stuff.
And also, to be fair, they are Nazis.
They are.
Come on. And all the evidence is there in the article.
Yeah, because the L kind of looks like a 1/4 of a swastika.
Yeah. And Wario says Achtung, which translates to "oh tongue." But anyway, Craig Duncan he was so cool, so nice, and one thing, he's an infinitely good sport, because we actually asked him to play off of that famous best bowling ever quote, which I don't know what we'll eventually do with the clip, but he immediately was like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem.
He didn't remember the quote, though.
Right.
We had to tell him about the quote. So to me, and of course, this is just conjecture, but I really feel like after meeting him and talking with him, and by the way, we talked with him like every day. This was just like, it wasn't like we met him briefly. We talked with him several times during the media showcase party, and
extended conversations too. Like we're talking like 15-minute just dialogues about Rare and about just fandom and about the games themselves. Like and you never got the impression that he had somewhere else to be.
No, and here's the thing: there was not an insincere bone in that man's body. Like,
yeah.
I know a lot of you are thinking, oh yeah, you talked with the new head of Rare. Of course, he's going to be feeding you PR. Of course, he's going to flatter you. You're there to send the message back to the fan base that Rare's in good shape again. Everything is hunky dory. There was nothing calculated about any of our interactions with Rare. It was, and maybe we're coming across as gullible, and if you want to believe that, fine.
I'm not going to get into any details, but like we have pretty finely tuned bullshit detectors, and there were some professional PR people that we met.
Living in LA, you get your BS detector finely tuned because you're just constantly surrounded by people who just lie through their teeth.
But anyway, at this event, we did meet with this personality type that I'm describing. No one from Rare, but we did have an interaction that went exactly like this, and we both immediately saw it and saw through it. And so the fact that is nowhere close to the vibe we got from Rare is so encouraging because they just are genuinely nice people.
Here's the thing about everybody we met at Rare, and I mean everybody. They're regular people. They are just video game fans who live out in the country and happen to make some of the greatest games of all time. I mean, it is like they are exactly as you would hope they would be. Lee Loveday has been kind of the voice for Rare to the fan base for years now. And you think, oh, Lee Loveday is just a hilarious guy. It's great that they put him out in front.
Like, yeah, that's where the sense of humor at Rare comes from. Nope. They're all that funny.
They're all basically shades of Lee Loveday. And by the way,
Shades of Lee Loveday is an exciting twist on Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
50 Shades of Loveday.
So yeah, anyway, they are all just super cool guys. And I think it's part of it is just how isolated Rare is. Like they're isolated, and also they have like good hiring policies in that they bring on people who are genuine.
Right.
That's my takeaway from it.
Yeah, and of course we spent some time.
I don't know. Maybe they left all the assholes back at Twycross, but
yeah, there was some tolerability index that you had to pass in order to get on the flight to LA, which is not usually how it works getting to LA. It's quite the opposite.
We've got a couple DK Viners who live out in LA who must be sick of us ragging on their home.
Well, in fairness, Los Angeles is fucking terrible.
I'm very sorry, the Reloader. I don't think you're Doom Kong.
He is Doom Kong. But I am unapologetically full of hatred for Los Angeles. I lived there for 3 years. I feel I have earned my hatred. That's my tour of duty. Damn it. But in LAX when I was leaving the event, it was a lot of E3 people. I almost got into fisticuffs with these Sony, these PlayStation representatives in suits. I didn't tell you about this.
No.
I was trying to desperately get some dinner because I had about 3 hours until my flight was leaving, and I was waiting for about 10 minutes to get my name on the list at this restaurant that was just full of E3 people, and this Sony guy in a business suit with a big PlayStation bag and he's still wearing his E3 badge, he just like butts right past me and says, let me get 2 on this list. And I said, hey, I'm in line, man. And he goes, whoa, bro, back off, calm down. There's no need to get up in arms. And I'm like, hey, bro, I was standing here, so back off.
Wow.
My name is Chad. I am on the list now. please get your 2 people on the list after me. But
this is why you shouldn't buy a PlayStation, people.
it was just like this was literally like the only the only non-rare Nintendo or Platonic interaction that I had at the show.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking douchebag. And granted, we were in the airport, but we were all coming from the same event, and we were all kind of tired and miserable. So,
I was in another terminal with 101 fever at that point, and just shivering, and finding out my flight was canceled, and being in complete agony.
Yeah. So obviously my my little Sony kerfuffle is much worse than your experience.
Well, obviously, yes. Anyway, what I was getting at about the rare people and Craig Duncan. Craig Duncan, if you were worried that, like, with the Stampers gone about the leadership at Rare,
right?
No reason to worry, because Craig Duncan is awesome and he gets it.
He's on it, and that's and you can tell. People are like, well, he's just he's supporting the Kinect titles, and when Phil Spencer took over, it was kind of the same thing. But what people don't realize is it does take like a year and a half, 2 years to get to get the caliber of game that Rare is making these days into a presentable form. So I'm sure they started work on this title around the time, or at least started discussing it around the time Craig Duncan came in and got settled.
Well, Craig Duncan. Yeah, they basically he approved it, and then Phil Spencer approved it. There was a chain of command, but it was all like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and so this is we're finally now seeing the fruits of the new guard, and shit, man, I'm gonna keep plucking from that tree of knowledge until I'm banished for all eternity to hell.
Right? Maybe that'll be the next Rare game, a Garden of Eden co-op game.
Yeah. There was this snake named Rattle and a snake named Roll, and they came down from the tree and said, "Hey, man, take a bite."
And Melanie wanted a bite of the melon from the tree.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, So this is just conjecture, and I'm probably putting thoughts into Craig Duncan's head, but it was clear after just talking with him for 4 days that what he meant by that infamous quote. He wasn't talking about you guys.
Oh, you mean where the one where he said the fans don't know what they want?
Yeah. He wasn't talking about anybody listening to this, any of the hardcore fans on DK Vine.
Yeah, you're all the good ones.
No, but he was talking about the people who are bitching right now about Sea of Thieves, about how, you should be making
Rare
this.
Replay is not a good value because you have to buy an Xbox One and the game. Despite the fact that even after you purchase a $350 Xbox and a $30 game, it's still way lower than the aggregate MSRP.
Yeah, and I don't think that portion of the fan base was as present in my mind at that time either, and now it's clear that they're out there and they're poisonous, and it's just
it's like there's literally no better way that Rare could have come to E3. They have a brand new exciting IP with a lot of untapped potential, we haven't seen tapped,
but a new IP that's steeped in Rare history itself. Like,
right.
it's not just existing in a vacuum like a lot of people are trying to present it as.
And they have embraced their entire non-Nintendo owned back catalog, and so it's like you've got the old plus all this crazy bonus content, the likes of which, Unseen 64 would immediately jizz their pants over. You've got this new IP that shows that they're not out of ideas, and people are still bitching. There is a contingent of quote-unquote Rare fans that I think will never be satisfied.
No.
And those are the people that I think Craig was probably referring to.
Absolutely. And it was so apparent to me 10 minutes after meeting him that, okay, this guy, he knows what the true fans want. He is a true fan of Rare, and he's just such a great guy. He's got excitement, enthusiasm. The amount of enthusiasm everybody we were meeting had, it was just like the pressure was off them. It was just like we're back, baby, and they never went away. But the circumstances of the last 5 plus years, I think, they're well documented, or at least you can figure them out. And now that
they became a Connect shop. I mean, that's really what it was.
They became hired guns rather than driving their own ideas.
Right, and that's the cool thing that like it really does come across that they are all fans. And when I'm just in my mind, I'm picturing a meeting room where they're trying to come up with new gameplay ideas or new projects to work on. I can't picture one of those callous marketing boardroom meetings where they're like, well, what does the average gamer want to see? Like, what'll give us the best demo buy? It's like I feel like they're making their decisions based on what would I want to play.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. They said as much. This is the game we wanted to make. We're so excited about this, and
they're all such genuine fans that are basically along the lines of us. Genuine fans. That their decisions are going to be perfectly in line with our wildest hopes and dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great position to be in as fans, to be able to trust the studio to make decisions on your behalf.
And I haven't felt like this about Rare in over a decade. It's just such a good feeling.
Yeah, that's the wild thing.
I want to get to that because I think that's going to be a good closing of the episode.
Sure.
But the enthusiasm was infectious, and we immediately caught it. I know Amir, Dan, Steve unfortunately had to leave, but he was feeling it before he left. Like all the Rare fans that were out there, and throughout the show floor, it started to spread. Like Rare Replay, the lines were getting longer each day.
Yeah, I love that. What we had heard the entire show was that almost no one's going to show up on day 3. It's going to be so dead, and it was the exact opposite. There would be like 7-8 people queued up on the show floor behind every Rare Replay kiosk on day 3, which is unheard of.
Somehow we would always find our way to the front. I don't know how we pulled that off.
Well, what I started doing was just helping people that were getting tripped up with the menus, like as if I worked for Rare.
I know. We were basically honorary Rare employees.
Yeah, just jump in like, hold down the menu button. Okay, now back up 2 times. All right, now here's the game gallery.
While you were, I don't know what you were doing at that point. I was, you were playing one of the games on Rare Replay, and meanwhile, I was talking with I was talking with one of the Rare guys, and a guy came up and said, hey, is Donkey Kong Country on this? And I explained, oh, no, unfortunately, this is only the Microsoft and Rare-owned properties. Donkey Kong's owned by Nintendo, but there's many great games on this, many that you'll remember. And I was like, why am I shilling? Like, why am I talking like I'm some sort of PR person? I'm a fan here, but it's just you get in that mindset of Rare Replay. I gotta talk it up because it is an amazing game. And let's talk a little about Rare Replay because we did play it for the first time at this event.
Yeah, what was the first game that you jumped in on?
It was Ghoulies.
By the Ghoulies. Yeah, I think that was when I was still talking with Craig Duncan about. We were talking about Ghoulies while you were playing it.
Yeah,
about how that was where we learned that it was now 1080p 60 FPS.
I think I felt like, well, one of us is gonna have to play this. He kept gesturing. It's like, go ahead, play it. Like he really wanted to see our reactions to it. So I was like, okay.
It's like Craig, I can play this game in a month and a half, and I've played Challenge 21. You're Craig Duncan. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, but I took the hit. I jumped on, and okay. Can I just talk about how incredible the menu layouts are?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say that this is the only place you can ever describe playing Grab by the Ghoulies as taking the hit, because normally that's like the best part of your day.
Yeah.
But there were so many best things going on here that, yeah, I guess that's taking
best,
it.
Best, yes.
Yeah, this is the best haunted house based beat 'em up that ever was, ever
on any
platform.
Yeah. But of course I picked Ghoulies, I think, to show my Rare cred. I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna pick Ghoulies. Come on, man.
Right.
I'm a died in the wool Rare fan, and Ghoulies is like
you're a need in the nuts Rare fan.
Right. And to show you like the douches that were at this party, like at one point two like douches walked by. I'm gonna use the word douche a lot, I have a feeling. And they said, oh, what's that game? And they said, dude, that's Grabbed by the Ghoulies. And they laughed and they walked off. And I was
they chest bumped and high-fived and gave you a wedgie.
Yeah, and then they smacked their dicks together and they
what?
I don't know what like.
I do not remember that element of bully culture.
I don't know what dude bros do in their spirit. I didn't like make it through like the first half season of Entourage, so I just assume there's a lot of mashing of dicks.
Probably a safe assumption.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't care, and it was like whatever. And it heartened me as the E3 progressed that more people were trying out Ghoulies. It was like reclaiming Ghoulies from like the negative perception of it in the general gaming culture.
Right. And I think that it's great that now, like, there's so much unironic enthusiasm for Grabbed by the Ghoulies just in the title itself, on the menus, on it. Well, we should probably talk about the presentation of the game.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, the layouts and the presentation. Because this is still, you see a little bit of it online in videos we posted and elsewhere, but
Right.
I don't think it's really taken effect as like, I don't think people really grasp how this looks. And it's basically, it's presented as if this were a like vaudevillian theater. And so you've got like a lot of old timey,
Well, curtains pulling back on
Yeah.
on a stage play, and I mean that's kind of the whole aesthetic. But rather than have characters running around, they've got artwork and renders of these characters that are sort of minimally animated, like their eyes will move back and forth.
they're presented almost if they were marionettes, like cardboard cutouts or marionettes, because there's like definitely like they drop down on strings and they're kind of like loosely animated,
Right.
And it's kind of like a puppet show, and there's posters that cut between scenes, like when things load, of different rare properties. Like for example, Killer Instinct has like a old timey boxing poster.
Oh
And-
yeah, it's like Spinal versus TJ Combo.
yeah, Sting in the ring or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, and but it's like, yep, that's a giant fighting skeleton that's going to be seen at some normal boxing event.
But everything is kind of rooted in this kind of Depression era aesthetic of
Right.
like entertainment venues and like kind of sideshow posters and attractions and vaudeville, and it's really cool, and it has a really unified vision throughout the game, and it makes it feel like more than just a static collection of games.
Yeah, and there's the intro for Rare Replay.
The intro that nobody believed, that we told people about this and people didn't believe us.
Well,
And
we tried to capture video of it, but ultimately we were asked, like, I think they want to debut it some point before launch as kind of a big push.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately there was no volume on either the show floor or at this event, so we got to read the subtitles but never actually got to hear it. But apparently the entire Rare staff, or at least a good portion of the Rare Replay staff, that team performed this opening song, but the visuals are incredible. It's like a sort of a camera roller coaster throughout this stage, backstage up into the balcony where Statler and Waldorf sit. Very, very Muppet Show-esque.
Well, yeah, speaking of the Muppets, I was going to say they specifically told us this was inspired by the Muppet Show.
Yeah, Craig said that there were a couple guys in the Rare Replay team that came into his office and pitched it exactly like that. Like, hey, we wanted this thing like the Muppets, and they performed it for him, and then said, so we need a little bit of money to go make this. And he goes, yeah, go make it.
yeah, which shows how awesome Craig Duncan. Because if Craig Duncan was just a bean counter, he'd be like, nope, not in the budget.
Unnecessary. Put your 30 games together and get it out the door.
No fun to be had here. So and I think maybe some people misunderstood us and thought when we said a Muppet Show styled intro, we meant it was going to be puppets.
No, that's what Nintendo's up to these days.
Yeah, right. So no, but it's very cool, and it's I love like all these Rare properties are in there. Cooper and Amber have a part in the song, and it's just it's fantastic to see. Can we say who wrote it?
Well, I don't know about that, and I don't know that this person wrote the entire thing or was just a part of that effort. Maybe let's leave that vague, because I don't want to.
I think I heard that they were responsible for writing all of it, but we'll leave it vague. If you think it's not information we can reveal.
That's the thing. That there was so much told to us, and they were so trusting of us that they stopped the pretense of on the record, off the record after about an hour. So at this point,
it was like after 30 minutes. It was
yeah.
just like
At this point, I don't know what we can or can't say,
which is really unfortunate, and we're sorry. But I'll just say that I think when you guys find out, a lot of you are going to be really excited and surprised.
right? Yeah,
So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's
It bodes good things for Rare's future.
It really does. So
Yeah.
we're very excited about this opening sequence, especially considering we haven't actually got to hear it yet. So it's gorgeous.
It could be crap. It could be crap. We haven't actually heard it yet.
Like, it's time for Rare Replay. Let's play
Oh
together.
God! Here we go again with these games.
Yeah. You can tick the attack, and that's a clever pun. That's all we got for you. Play the game.
And so, Rare Replay was amazing. Ghoulies has never felt smoother. Oh my God, it was just like seamless, and like there was.
you might even say they've trimmed the hedges a bit around the Ghoulies. Never felt smoother.
But no. I mean, on the original Xbox, there was definitely lag. There was loading time. It was
Right.
very like, okay, stop, cut. We're loading this next scene. It's
Like
just,
going through the comic book pages.
Yeah. Here it's just like whoom, whoom, whoom. And you would think that because of that, like, I know a lot of people are having problems with the eShop Rare releases, the Donkey Kong games, because their, lag's taken into account when making the game. And when you remove that lag, then suddenly things become a lot harder.
Oh, like the Mad Jack fight on DK64
Exactly.
is fucking impossible.
Exactly. But here, that's not a problem. It's not an issue.
Yeah, no, they certainly made sure that in those instances where you would expect lag for gameplay purposes or where that was kind of baked into the playability, they accounted for it and they would ratchet things down if necessary. But we also it was funny, we were one of our conversations with Grant Kirkhope was about the Ghoulies music and how much
By the way, we had conversations with Grant Kirkhope.
Yeah, just name dropping.
Oh, we're just having drinks with Granny.
But it was funny though that one of the things he brought up that was like such a nightmare writing music for that game was the fact that on those comic book cutscenes, he, in addition to all the normal haunted house music he would have to do, he also had to take into account if you didn't turn the page and you were just sitting there, he had to have some kind of unique looping music for every single goddamn page in the comic. But that was also an artifact of those load times between pages, which that's no longer an issue.
Yeah. So we also played some vintage like NES and Spectrum games, which
Saberman is hard.
Oh,
Saberwolf.
it was so embarrassing.
So hard.
It was so embarrassing being bad at Rare games in front of Rare employees.
In fairness, those are ultimate play the game games.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So what are they doing a Rare Replay? They should have put Donkey Kong Country on there.
Oh, God. Worthless piece of crap.
And where's Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run?
Yeah, where's Monster Max, huh? Actually,
yeah.
I would love to try Monster Max. I've never played it before.
3 strikes, you're out, Rare Replay.
Yeah.
We've actually played RC Pro-Am, and I haven't played that game since I was probably 12 or 13, and it was very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you got the hang of it after a few rounds.
Yeah.
I knew it from playing Jeff and Barry Racing and Jet vs. Gemini.
See, I was wondering why you picked it up so easily.
Yeah, because basically Jeff and Barry Racing and then Jeff and Barry Racing 2, which is the instigator of the entire plot of the game. Those titles are the exact mechanics from RC Pro-Am.
Yeah. So we haven't actually talked about this on the conversation, but the bonus features in Rare Replay.
Holy shit. Now, thankfully, Adam Park walked us through some of this, some of the unseen content, the previously unseen section of the title.
Which you can see at dkvine.com/YouTube.
What?
Subscribe right now.
Yep. Yeah, so that's a neat little video, and we don't actually watch any of it. We just sit on the menu screen as it kind of cycles through, and it's like you're just inundated with all these new faces, familiar faces from Rare. And we're like, oh, that's Louise Ridgway, and that's which I think she now has a different last name, but from the Conquer team, who's now I think she is now one of their like one of their incubation, like new ideas leads. So new projects at Rare, she kind of heads up that whole initiative.
Yeah,
which is awesome. There was that. There was Grant Kirkhope. There was Kev Bayless. There, we were just like all these people we know, and then all these people that we don't yet know. And Adam sort of walked us through a lot of that content,
and you could see us geeking out on this video. It was just shameless, but it was just, this is exactly what we wanted out of Rare Replay. This idea got in our head earlier in the day, and to see it basically confirmed here was just like, oh my god, it's going to be the Criterion Collection of Rare.
Well, it's better than a Criterion. It's like if a Criterion Collection had ancillary information about the canceled version of the movie that you never got to see.
Right.
Like this is if Terry Gilliam ever gets to create his Don Quixote movie, this would have his entire Johnny Depp version of the movie on the disc. This would have Lost in La Mancha on the disc.
Right.
That's the kind of caliber bonus content is on here.
And what's so exciting is Rare is so infamously secret, especially under the Stampers. And to have that veil lifted even a tiny bit by Rare themselves, that's just tantalizing.
And it's not even a tiny bit. This is the doors being blown off the studio, and they're basically saying, "Come on, everyone, let's dig through this material and take a look at what there is." And you got the impression that there was.
Thank God they still had the material, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if we can get into that anecdote, but it was a close call. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, all of Rare history may have been lost forever.
Yeah, it was down to a matter of hours, but maybe they'll discuss that on the DVD.
That's such a good story, and that's such a good selling point. I'm sure they'll discuss it at some point.
Yeah, I don't want to be the one to break it because it is an awesome story that I don't want to take the wind out of.
And again, we don't know what we're allowed to tell about.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's such shitty like reporting, but it's like, oh yeah.
But I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to betray any confidence.
It's like going to Area 51 and saying, "Now we can't tell you what we saw, guys, but it would blow your mind."
It's amazing. Let's just say, start practicing your jetpack skills, which applies for Rare Replay as well. So yeah, it was just an amazing, just kind of mind blowing night. I spent some time playing. One of the first games I played was Banjo-Tooie because I just wanted to go see Chief Bloodison, and I immediately jumped in there and beak bombed my way through Mayhem Temple and opened up Chief Bloodison's room, and they're like, "I think you've played this before."
And then
yes, I've played this before.
This was with Adam, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, Chad, tell him about the petition. Tell him about the Chief Bloodison petition.
Oh yeah, I did. I told him that. Yeah, we're trying to get Microsoft for several years now to make a 9-part video game series starring Chief Bloodison.
And our petition has around 150 signatures.
That's right. We're only 999,850 short.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even told him about our what we see as Chief Bloodison's sidekick, his prawn friend Kevin.
And I think I don't know at what point Adam we completely won him over, but that may have been it.
No, but Adam knew who we were. So
I know.
We didn't. There was no winning over. This was just like. This was like, meeting someone that you were already friends with. You just didn't know it yet. That's really the vibe with Adam Park. He's such a cool guy.
He really is. So this event went on till midnight or so, and we kind of roamed around the Gothic Astle a little bit, but again,
it was very roomy.
Yeah, we went down to the sub basement, saw people chained up to their cerebral cortexes playing Halo 5. And we kept going back to Rare because
they had all clearly taken the green pill.
Yeah. So we all went back. We kept going back to Rare, and I kept saying like, "Oh, I'm sure you guys, want to share this to other people," and they were just like, "No, this is why you're here. We want you to play it. You guys know how to play the game,
Yeah, that's what, when we left that night, I said, okay, I promise on the show floor, I'm not going to dominate the game. And they're like, no, we want someone who's good at it to be playing it because then people will come over and watch.
Yeah. So it was super cool, and it was just like such an amazing night, and it's a night I'll never forget. And like Craig Duncan was amazing, Adam Park was amazing. Talking with everybody there. It was just
Yeah, I think we met Drew Quackenbush there.
We did. We barely talked with Drew the first night. Drew is somebody we actually didn't really start talking with until near the end of E3. It was like a couple guys were just so busy during those initial days that they didn't really have downtime until near the end, and that's when we really got to know them a little bit more. So it was cool to keep having those new experiences as the show went on.
Well, speaking of, I know we're an hour 20 into this, but
I mean, when else are we gonna have an episode like this? This is good shit.
let's get into E3 itself.
All right, E3 proper day one, which E3 is kind of like a week-long event, but the show itself is only 3 days, which is kind of a weird thing that you intellectually know when you're like at home following E3, but it's weird when you're actually experiencing it. It's the show is only 3 days. It's so weird how all this culture sprung up around it, but
it is brutal, by the way. I mean, granted, my immune system was already compromised going into it, but
we were also
God.
walking 40 minutes to and from our Airbnb.
Yeah, which we were fucking idiots and didn't realize that the amount, like it's basically $60 to $70 cab ride to and from that part of LA from the airport. So if we had combined that, about $120, probably could have rented a car for the duration.
Yeah, probably should have done. Well, at least we know for next year.
At least we know for next year.
But yeah, it was brutal, and the first day we walked wasn't bad, but the second day was just the heat was overbearing, and we actually recorded a impromptu street rap with the DK rap because we were delirious, and it was just the fatigue. You got pretty sunburnt.
I did get I got pretty sunburnt until I started stealing the 50 SPF sunscreen that I found in our shitty Airbnb's medicine cabinet.
Oh, are you sure that was sunscreen? Are you sure that wasn't some sort of other fluid that was just preserved in a bottle?
Well, it smelled like sunscreen, so I certainly I questioned the metabolic processes if it was anything else.
Well, I don't know. They were shedding hair, so I don't know what they were putting in their bodies. But no, it was. Luckily, I only got a little bit of sun on my nose, and I got tan. The rest. So
you asshole.
Well, I'm not a ginger, Chad. I'm glad Robin Beadman was holding up, because he's a fellow redhead,
Yeah.
and he looked to be pretty in good shape. He didn't look to be too afflicted by the sun.
Yeah. Speaking of Robin being, well, I guess we're gonna get to him because we got to meet him on this day.
Yeah. So we walked to E3 right after Nintendo's digital events, which it was what it was, and so we got to the convention center, and it was just packed, as you might imagine. I mean, this isn't any like breaking news. The convention center is full of sweaty nerds, and it's horrible. But we basically were like, okay, we got to find Rare. First and foremost, let's find where Rare is. Let's get our bearings. And so we just basically followed the Xbox screen,
Yeah, anywhere you could see kind of a green glow emanating, that's where we went.
And the way it was set up was kind of convenient because you had on one side, you had the Xbox, and within Xbox was Rare. You had Nintendo on the other side, and in the middle was like Sony. But Sony's display was kind of small. It was like mostly up on a balcony. It felt like it was like
and I think a lot of the upper level kind of balcony stuff was where the proper media had set up shop.
Yeah. Well, IGN had their own like base. Like IGN took up so much floor space. It was shocking.
They had a glass fishbowl where Brian Altano would invite people in to go brat to their face.
Yeah.
It was, and we walked by that.
I can't wait till DK Vine has our own. It's gonna be a Royston fishbowl, of course. You have to tap 3 times to get in. But
That's right. That's exactly how you do it. Yeah. That's our secret handshake is you have to be the goldfish. That's our password, much like the Treehouse of 1994. The password, Diddy, yeah! It'll be Royston for us.
that was the most pubescent Josh Wolf impression I've ever heard.
Dude, I can't do the falsetto. You know, I can't. It's nothing. My Conquer impression has taken a severe hit.
Right, your larynx, yeah.
Yeah.
So we found Rare pretty quickly. You were gonna ask somebody, and I was just looking for Rare, imagery, and I was like, dude, Rare over here. And so we rushed over, and it was like, this is gonna be awkward because I don't know how to just jump in. Luckily, I think Amir was already there, so we kind of just slid in.
Yeah, because Amir, thankfully for him, he was not bound by the Nintendo showing. So
we were the only Rare fans there that also had to cover the Nintendo stuff. So.
Yeah, which thankfully there wasn't much for us to cover, so we got to.
Thankfully, yeah.
Well, honestly, it's I'm really appreciative that we didn't have to divert our attention from Rare all that much, considering Nintendo, even if there was some brand new amazing game from Retro, that's right in our wheelhouse, there wouldn't have really been anyone from Retro on the show floor to talk to us about it.
And that's the thing, Nintendo kind of shut us out completely. I mean, granted, who are we? We're DK Vine. I'm not complaining about that, but
honestly, I think we can say this now. We had a Nintendo, a private Nintendo booth tour scheduled for Thursday, and the day before E3, they told us that they had canceled it for us.
Yeah, right. So
thanks, Nintendo.
Thanks, Nintendo. I'm sure they saw the pictures of Miyamoto getting decapitated and whatnot.
But by Obama.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if it was Romney, those fat cats in Nintendo would have been all for it.
I mean, no, I get it. I know that our media reach is not as broad as IGN or whatever, but it's. You don't tell someone you're gonna do something that they have to sort of schedule their event around. We kept our Thursday completely open, despite the fact that we were rapidly filling it with appointments, and then they pull the rug out from under us 24 hours before the show. That kind of sucks.
And meanwhile, Craig Duncan basically hugged us, so he put his arms around us and held us tight, and it was just the most warm embrace a studio head could give to fans.
He didn't feel like the big cheese, he didn't feel like management. He was so and did you know that Drew Quackenbush, he's their head of operations, he's also management over at Rare. These guys are so down to earth.
And it was, by the way, it took a lot of practice to remember a lot of these guys' names, so don't think we're just name dropping for the sake of it. Drew Quackenbush, for the first couple days, we were calling him Mythbusters guy because he looks like Adam Savage from the Mythbusters.
Right.
So there's a lot of mnemonic devices and a lot of memorization games and there was I was okay, so he's Mythbusters guy is Drew. Okay, gotta remember that. So,
well, you gotta. We were meeting so many people so quickly.
Yeah,
that we wanted to make a point to, remember these guys' names because they were being so cool about everything.
They were so fucking cool. I just can't get over it.
Yeah.
So, and especially compared to over at Nintendo, and I'm not trying to turn this into Nintendo versus Microsoft or Rare, but all the Rare guys were showing off their game. Even the guys on the Sea of Thieves team were showing off Rare Replay.
Right.
Over at Nintendo, they had models showing off their games.
Well, I'll get to my day 3 Star Fox experience briefly when we get to that portion of this episode.
All right. So anyway, we when we got to the Rare booth, we met Captain Bones in person for the first and only time.
I'm still jealous. You got to take a picture with the good captain.
Because we thought he'd be around, so I was like, well, I'm going to get my picture taken with him first, not thinking that this was going to be our only opportunity as DK Vine. Otherwise, I would have had you get in there too, and
Yeah. Well, and thankfully, we were going to ask him which Brothers Bear is best, which, by the way, started turning into a hit. We had Rare guys asking us if they could do which Brothers Bear is best.
I remember Adam told us when we recorded with him. Spoilers, his will be coming. But he said he had been thinking about it. He had been thinking about it the night before. Like he'd been preparing and doing research for which Brothers Bear is best.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm glad, by the way, that just serendipitously, Craig Duncan was the first one to do it because
It showed it was okay.
yeah, it's it's from a Nintendo game
Here's
and it
the
is
thing.
one of theirs.
We didn't realize there was going to be this many Rare guys at the show, and we didn't know what Rare was showing. So we were going into E3 kind of with mostly Nintendo mindset, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And so like our what I called our reindeer games, like which Brothers Bear is best. It was all Nintendo oriented. It was all on the Donkey Kong side of things. So it was like, oh, is it cool that we're asking guys on the Microsoft payroll to do this? And they were so cool, and of course they did it because they're fans of Rare.
Yeah, it would. So, briefly, I'll tell you how we asked Craig Duncan the night before if he would do which Brothers Bear is best.
Oh, okay. So I filmed that, and you were the first one to do it. You of course appeared on camera with Craig Duncan here. I was ready to throw in a towel almost immediately, because I was like, "There's no way he's going to agree to do this. I don't want to make an ass out of myself."
No, and so will I. And actually, you were recording this whole interaction. I don't think we'll ever put the footage out, but it's you basically pointing the camera at the ground. But I don't think you realized it was recording.
Oh no, I did.
Oh, okay.
But I was just like, I'm ready to turn this off at any moment, because if this is not cool, I don't want to be party to it.
So basically, I showed him the sign and I said, "Hey, we're just gonna. Could we ask you, which Brothers Bear is best?" It's kind of utter nonsense. And he goes, "Oh, is this Nintendo?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Donkey Kong, but it's one of yours." And he goes, "That might be difficult. How would it go?" And when he said difficult, I immediately said, "Oh, well, we don't have to." And then
Yeah,
but then
and
he said,
I turned the camera away at that point.
yeah. And then he said, "Well, how would it go?" And I said, "Well, I'll just ask you which Brothers Bear is best, and you would answer, and that's it." And he goes, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." Like it took him like a second and a half to realize this isn't a gotcha thing. We're not going to say, like, "Why aren't you making Brothers Bears games with Nintendo?" Like, he realized, it's just a piss take. Sure, let's have fun with it. Like, that's how cool Craig Duncan is. He immediately realized the spirit in which it was intended.
I love how so many people who played the game, and it was mostly Rare people, we got to play it, but we got other weirdos around the convention.
A game, like there's a victory state.
Well, no, but I love like the shenanigans. I love
Right.
how after we were done, so many people were like, was that the right one?" Like they were like seriously concerned.
No, you're wrong. It's Baffle Bear.
And I kept forgetting how many Brothers Bear there were, because Bachelor Bear always threw me.
Right.
Because it was like he was the 14th Brother Bear, but for so many years there was 13. And anyway,
Yeah, but we would have asked Captain Bones which Brother Bear was best, but he disappeared. Thankfully,
Scraps got
I
to
think
it first.
Scraps. Was it Scraps or Master DS?
It was Scraps.
Okay, yeah, Scraps. Who, by the way, Scraps was on point with a lot of his Captain Bones questions on Twitter.
But by the way, I don't know if we've explained. Captain Bones is the Twitter handle that Rare has created to promote Sea of Thieves.
At Ask Captain Bones.
Ask Captain Bones, and he's a new, basically, employee of Rare. He's a pirate skeleton. That's it. That's all there is to it.
That's it. And he's on the Sea of Thieves team.
Yeah,
and is involved in its promotion.
Apparently, when Craig Duncan is out, they put Captain Bones at his desk and prop his feet up on the desk and.
Yeah. There was recently a picture. Apparently, Rare bought like some vintage cannons from.
Of course they did.
And they put them out. They have that sort of pond in between some of the barns at Manor Park.
At one point, or maybe they still do. They had an octopus in that pond.
That would be pretty appropriate now. But they put two of those cannons out on a big deck that's overlooking that pond, and they said that when IGN visited their studios last year, they had to cover up the cannons because they couldn't give any indication what they were making. But Captain Bones was recently shown straddling one of those cannons, like Dr. Strangelove style.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Everything from Captain Bones was hilarious. Like that was a joy. Like being at E3, but also following Captain Bones' journey around Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah, he got to the Santa Monica Pier and took a ride on the Ferris wheel.
Oh, that picture of him like with all the Los Angeles floozies kissing him, and he was like, much appreciative of the Sea of Thieves love, but I've got to sail alone or something. I don't know.
And then his next photo was a picture of him in the back of a cab with Greg Mayles, who looks like utterly miserable. It was probably a late night, of partying. And then Captain Bones said, "This is not who I wanted to be going home with." And I replied to him, "It looks like the feeling's mutual, matey."
So yeah, it was for all the people who are complaining. Well, Sea of Thieves, it doesn't show any trademark rare humor. Captain Bones, if that doesn't,
that's it.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. This is and now I guess we can maybe talk briefly. We do know that it's not an MMO in like the Destiny sense. It is it's basically a traditional game with heavy cooperative elements.
Yeah.
So what that tells us, this is what Phil Spencer talked about yesterday as of recording.
St. Phil Spencer.
So what that tells me is that there are going to be many more story elements than you would get in a typical MMO.
Well, it sounds to me like it's going to be like an adventure game of sorts that you can play with your friends, that you form a pirate crew with your friends online.
Right.
And it sounds like it's the best of both worlds, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was looking forward to the MMO, but also with an MMO, it's very finite. It's eventually an MMO is going to stop being supported, and then the game is dead.
I had an interaction on day 3 with who was it? Peter Hensey. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think it's Hens.
Peter Hens. Who was on the handheld team originally and worked on Granny's Revenge.
Let's save our big stories for that.
But I just want to briefly mention, he and I was playing Banjo-Kazooie, and before I found out that he was on that team, we were just kind of talking about online games, and I made the analogy. I said, it's kind of stupid, but whenever I think about games like, Conquer Live and Reloaded, these modes that you can never play again, it always reminds me of the line from the end of Blade Runner with Rutger Hauer. And he goes, "Oh, you mean the Tears in the Rain speech?" And I was like, yes, exactly. That's how I feel about these. They're going to be lost in time.
Yeah.
He not only did he immediately get the Blade Runner reference, but he was like, "Oh yeah, that analogy makes a lot of sense for these games that get end of life." I love that I instantly had a common frame of reference with this guy over such a geeky reference point.
Again, these guys are a lot like us, and
I know.
and a lot like DK Vine 4. Remember, it's remarkable how down to earth and funny and humble and regular they are. It's just. They're not douchebags.
Right. It's a lot of it. I think it might be that isolation factor. They're stuck in the middle of in Middle England.
They're in the heart of the country where the holy people grow.
Man, I can't do my do. I can't do.
You can't do the do.
That's my go-to. Paul McCartney is the do.
I can't even do
fucking do. I can't. It's so pathetic. I can't wait till I get my voice back.
Wow, what would you do if you sang out of tune, Chad?
I would probably stand up and walk out on this podcast. So let's continue with day 1.
Oh my God,
we met Robin Beanland.
This is taking as long as E3 took.
All right, so let's move on to our initial interactions with Robin Beanland. We alluded to that a little earlier.
Oh yeah, Robin. He's a good friend. He's a friend of the show.
he was yet another extraordinarily nice person. Super cool.
The thing about Robin Beanland was I think he was a little shy at first, but as the show went on, he got more and more open with us.
Well, I certainly didn't do us any favors.
You did not, and let's talk about that.
All right, so all right, so here's the thing. There are, and I'm sure that if I were to have met Lee Loveday at this thing, I probably would have put my foot in my mouth just as badly. But there are certain rare employees whose output and work I have been enamored with since I was like 10.
Well, the musicians in general, like that trinity, the holy trinity musicians, and not even getting into the Eveline Fishers and Graham Norgates, but like Wise, Kirkhope, Beanland. You know, those are the big three that are kind of celebrities. Even like to those who don't know much about Rare, they know those three names.
Yeah, well, especially considering, you know, it's interesting that in a video game development pipeline of all the creative disciplines, music is the one that can be enjoyed the most easily divorced from the context of the game.
And I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have those people whose works can stand on their own, and so they develop their own fan bases outside the games themselves. But regardless of all that, like I was fucking starstruck when I saw Robin Beanland, and I was like, oh my god!
You saw him from behind. You just saw the red hair, and you were like, "That's Robin Beanland."
It's one of my own. I could sniff him out. No, but I was like, that's Robin Beanland. Oh my god, that's Robin Beanland.
And I wasn't sure. I was like, "Is that Robin Beanland?" But
I went up and I said Robin, and he turned around.
And to be fair, he turned around, and it was Bruce Wayne's ward, Dick Grayson, and it was.
It's like, damn it! I thought he was a brunette. No, but I said basically like, you know, we're from DK Vine, and then I fucking said we've been following your work since Funky's Fugue in Donkey Kong Country, and I was like, oh, and his eyes like imperceptibly widened, like, oh my god, what am I getting into?
I don't know if you could see me. I was behind you, but I literally crawled into my own skull at that point. I was just like a hermit crab. I was just scurrying away.
Oh Jesus, I have betrayed my cool fanboy exterior. Like, oh god, what have I done? But thankfully, like, you know, we got to get on from that, and had, you know, several actual conversations, and he's just like such an enthusiastic guy about like
I think where you saved it was when you brought up the fact that he's a musical chameleon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he seemed to really like that comparison, I guess.
And it's true because, you know, Wise and Kirkhope, I think, get the most recognition, but they also have the most clearly defined styles. Yeah. Whereas Robin Beanland, he can fucking do whatever you want.
Look at Conker's Bad Fur Day. You know, he composed one of the best like rave songs I have ever heard. I'm not a fan of the genre, and I love rock solid.
Look at fucking Sea of Thieves. Look at the song from the trailer.
Right. Look at Jet Force Gemini. It's this space operatic adventure that he and Alistair Lindsay knocked out of the park, and he had never written anything like that in his career.
Well, let's talk about the Sea of Thieves music, because this is where we really got into some meaty discussion with him. And obviously, like, the music in the trailer didn't really like hit me at first. Like, I was too busy looking at the visuals, you know, trying to take it all in, trying to piece out what kind of game this was. But rewatching it then later, and then of course, talking with him, like, I'm just kind of struck by how awesome this piece of music is. And he actually recorded it with a hurdy-gurdy, which I believe he had specially built.
Yeah, he told us there was a kind of a local music shop, or at least, you know, as local as you can get when you're in Twycross, and, you know, so probably within like a 50-mile radius.
It was probably just the Sheepy shop.
Yeah, they've got it on special, just down Sheepy Road. But it was, yeah, he was really kind of, you know, excited to talk about not only this instrument, but also he went to his local butcher and got a bunch of beef ribs. He, you know, processed, you know, steamed them and whatnot so that there was no more meat, but then used them to construct like a traditional instrument that uses rib bones as percussive elements.
Right, just to give it that authentic pirate flair.
Yeah, and I am 100% sure that on the big wide world of the internet, he could have downloaded some MIDI sound font that had this instrument already in it, but he wanted the real thing.
And here's the thing, like the hurdy-gurdy, the bone thing, he didn't know how to play them. He taught himself how to play it.
Yeah.
Just to compose music for this game.
Yeah, and it was
That's like Paul McCartney shit. That's what Paul McCartney does.
exactly. It was that level of like unbridled passion. You know, this is what was it? What did Paul learn for dance tonight? Was that the mandolin?
Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, everybody gonna thieve tonight. Everybody gonna be a pirate tonight.
Yeah, I see. Again, my inability to do my Paul impression is betraying me.
Woo!
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah, so actually, like, and he had pictures of all this stuff on his phone, so we got to see like the mandolin, the bones. It was really cool.
Yeah, he just like whipped out his cell phone and was like, "Yeah, let me show you these pictures I took."
Yeah, and I think this is the point where it hit me. I was like, Robin Beanland is just fucking on the show floor at E3 talking about games with people. Like
why is nobody carrying you around aloft on a litter? You're Robin Beanland.
yeah, that's just like, it blew my mind how the Rare guys were just, and I keep saying Rare guys because I don't think they had any women out there.
Right. Yeah, we're not trying to be like misogynist pigs. It was literally all men at this event. That we met anyway.
Right, but okay, so yeah, it was just like, you've got bona fide video game royalty here, talking about video games with people, not hiding behind any closed doors. I don't want to keep harping on that fact, but it's just mind-boggling to me how, and maybe this is just a uniquely Rare thing. This is just how Rare is. Like, they don't have any ego. They don't have any inflated sense of self-importance.
Yeah,
but
we talked about it on our Nintendo episode last week, but we literally saw Nintendo putting Mario and Luigi, you know, guys in giant costumes behind closed doors. You know, like fictional. They hid away their fictional mascots. Rare put its actual talented, creative geniuses front and center.
Yeah, and wow, you know, and so we're talking with Robin Beanland, just met the guy a couple minutes ago. Here comes Grant Kirkhope walking up.
Yeah, with Andy Robinson.
With Andy Robinson. So like, okay, here's Grant Kirkhope and Robin Beanland right next to each other. We've talked with Grant. Of course, we've had correspondences with Grant through DK Vine in the past. But this is our first time actually meeting him face to face. Mere minutes after we met Robin Beanland face to face. Like, at this point, again, sensory overload. I don't know what's happening. None of this feels real.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous.
And we had tried to hook up with Andy the day before, but he was having some like cell phone reception issues. You know, he's from England. It's hard to get a decent connection.
Well, around the convention center, if you don't have like 3G or 4G, you're not going to get any service. Like, the Wi-Fi sucks.
Yeah, there's no Wi-Fi. So if you're like on a foreign LTE system, you're screwed. But thankfully, we got to coordinate in person, and we set up the ultimately was our dinner with Grant.
Dinner and beers, yes, with Grant Kirkhope and Andy Robinson of Playtonic,
and Luigi. I don't want to say Luigi Lucario because that's a Pokemon, but
Luigi Mario.
Yeah,
he finally came out from behind those closed doors and agreed to have dinner with us.
It was the gentleman who did 30 days of Rare character artwork for the Playtonic Kickstarter.
Yes.
Extremely talented artist. Luigi something with an L. I apologize, but he was that dinner as well. So it was the five of us.
Yeah, we went to the Wolfgang Puck restaurant near the convention center. Yeah, and so yeah, it was a nice dinner. Just talked a little bit about Yuka. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play the game. They'd been showing the game off all day, and I think they just wanted to unwind. And who are we to say, oh, we don't want to just chill out with Grant Kirkhope
Right.
and Andy Robinson. We want to play ukulele. No, we're going to chill out and just have a beer with these guys.
Yeah.
And that's just another surreal experience, like, that we got to just hang out with them for an hour and a half or so, and just amazing.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, speaking of musicians, obviously, you know, we didn't meet Dave Wise, but we did find out.
Oh yeah, so this is some juicy news that I think we've discussed, and we can at least say we heard about this.
Yes, and I don't want to. Again, like, I don't know what confidence is where, but we were talking with some people about basically the transition from SNES to N64 at Rare, and so we learned, and this is just kind of a cool technical detail, when Dream was converted to the N64, originally it was David Wise doing the music, because you know, he was part of the Donkey Kong Country 2 team, and when he and Grant sort of were both working on that project, they basically they were using the 64 DD, and because they were doing this crazy thing with the worlds where the polygons would be stretched to construct the world, so it required like I guess a lot more processing than you got in the base 64. But what Dave Wise was doing is he had a SNES sound chip that was in the 64 DD, like custom embedded somehow, and that was going to be used for all the music, and the entirety of the N64 sound chip was going to be used for all the special effects and voice acting. So, like, this is like the crazy mad science alchemy that was going on at Rare.
MacGyver and shit, just just because they could.
Exactly. It was like Nintendo says, okay, here's our dev kit, and Rare says, all right, let's figure out how we can immediately break that to get what we want out of the hardware,
which they did from day one. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
so that's a cool little thing. Like Dream was originally going to be 64 DD once it went to the N64, and was going to feature a SNES and an N64 sound chip.
Now, can we talk about the David Wise rumor we heard?
Oh yeah, that was another thing that.
That's what I thought you were going to get at, because this is kind of juicy gossip.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we also picked this up, and we're not going to say where.
We're not going to say where, but if you allow me the honors,
please. This is one that we've been teasing on our forum. So perk your ears up. An hour 45 minutes into the show, listeners.
Yeah. So. Obviously, Robin Beanland's working on Sea of Thieves. Grant Kirkhope is doing a number of freelance projects, including Yooka-Laylee,
right,
and Lobo Destroyo. But
versus La Liga de los Villanos.
Yes, we were representing Lobo at E3. So, what's David Wise working on? You haven't heard from David Wise since Tropical Freeze.
Been a while. Yeah. Well, aside from Stardrift.
Yeah. Okay, but for our purposes, haven't heard from David Wise since Tropical Freeze. Well, apparently he's doing a project for Nintendo.
David Wise is working on a project for Nintendo. The source that we discussed this with doesn't know what it is.
No.
But we do know that Dave Wise is working with Nintendo, guys, and we also learned
guess what?
But
he's getting paid.
One would hope. Fill that guy's, just back up a dump truck full of money to that guy's house. But we also know, I just want to point it out.
Yeah, we're just connecting the dots here. That's all we're doing.
That Retro Studios is not currently working on a Metroid Prime game.
No, and we don't know what they're working on, but it wasn't at E3.
It wasn't at E3,
and we know it's not
we found out. By the way, these two tidbits of information were in no way connected when we learned about it. So we're doing the connecting the dots, but
we're being the Benedict Cumberbatch. We're dressing up as Sherlock in the holodeck here.
You know, there was a scene from, I think, the first season of Sherlock where he identified that that a guy was cheating on his wife because the inside of his wedding ring was really smooth, which indicates that he takes it off a lot. And I'm like, I take off my wedding ring every time I take a shower. that means nothing. I call bullshit on Benedict Cumberbatch's deductive abilities.
But he's also a super soldier from the future, so.
Oh, I fucking hated that goddamn movie. You cannot get to Kronos in the space of 2 hours using traditional warp technology.
I thought you hated it because of like plot and characterization.
No, it was the Kronos thing.
I hope you immediately went to Star Trek Alpha, whatever, Memory Alpha, and register your disgust in the comments section.
Oh, I registered my disgust with both Memories Alpha and Beta.
Oh, even the novelizations, like that fan base couldn't take it. Yeah, God.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
so we are deducing that these two disparate, data points could somehow be connected.
Look, David Wise is probably working with a Western studio. He's worked with Retro in the past, and that was an incredibly fruitful endeavor. We don't know what Retro's working on, but we know it's a new engine. And
it's not Metroid.
And you know what? I'm just saying, I still believe in Kevin Callahan, guys.
You think it's Diddy Kong Racing?
Could be. Here's what I'm thinking. They decide, Mario Kart 8 is doing great for the Wii U. Why don't we push Diddy Kong Racing Wii U to the next system? Why don't we have that be a launch title?
It'd be funny if they actually bought the rights for RC Pro-Am, and they're doing an RC Pro-Am Wii U game.
It's on Rare Replay. We know they don't have the rights to that.
That's true.
By the way, speaking of Diddy Kong Racing, we also know that Greenwood Village and Jet Force Gemini has been left intact.
That's true. Yeah, we specifically asked about that because that's the kind of people we are, and they said, "Yep, it's still in there."
I think they really dug that kind of stuff, though, when we got into the really like nitty gritty stuff, not just like, so when are you guys going to do a new banjo? Yeah.
Oh, so I can ask retailers about Battletoads now?
Yeah, the fact that, especially the conversation we had with Peter Hentz, I can't wait to get to that. Okay, so yeah, we had dinner and beer with Grant Kirkhope, Andy Robinson. That's like an incredible experience. Like, and any other like year that would have been the highlight, but the fact that this was all just condensed in such a short period of time, E3 was fucking magical, man.
Yeah, it was the kind of it was the only sort of event that could have made me completely forget about my my body failing me.
Yeah, you were, well, we both were, but you especially were just running on pure adrenaline.
Oh yeah, I mean every night I went to bed running a fever, and then thankfully woke up, with that fever having dissipated. But that was like I was going through a daily cycle of like laryngitis turning into a fever, turning into like feverish 4 hours of sleep, turning into hacking up a lung and starting all over again.
Yeah. So before we had dinner with Grant Kirkhope and Andy Robinson. You
just call them Grant and Andy.
Grant and Andy. You had to hit the restroom. And so I was just like waiting for you, like the good wife that I am,
right.
holding the purse. And so like we had to meet like Grant and Andy by the doors of the convention center, and we had to like find, it was like the south wing, third entrance to the right. It was like some convoluted. We were like, we don't know our way around here.
Yeah.
So we had to meet them in like 15 minutes or so, and you hit the bathroom. I'm standing there. All of a sudden, here comes a couple Rare guys, including Adam Park. They see me, and they stop, and they just start talking to me. And you eventually came out and joined us, and it was just like, okay, so I'm not even seeking these guys out now, and they're talking to us.
Yeah, like they're
out of the blue.
It was it's so cool that they started like they would call our names from 30 yards away. And be like, hey, how's it going, guys? They genuinely wanted to talk to us. It was so cool.
And so part of me is like, we got to meet Grant Kirkhope for dinner, but I'm talking with guys from Rare. This is the weirdest dilemma I've ever faced.
Right? Yeah, but they were, they understood. And they were like, hey, to tell them hi.
Oh yeah. By the way, anybody trying to like build up some bullshit Platonic versus Rare rivalry, everybody at Rare is like so happy for everybody at Platonic, at least from what we've gathered.
That is an utterly false narrative. Do not engage in it.
Yeah.
And when you see people engaging in it, especially unfortunately on the Platonic forum and all over Facebook, on our Facebook, on Rare's Facebook, if you can politely explain to them that there is no bad blood between Rare nor Platonic. Like they are all just friends and professionals wanting to make cool games.
And in some cases, family.
Yeah. Greg Mails and Steve Mails are sort of on both sides of the track for these two studios.
So really, can we just all get along, please?
Yeah, they are getting along. We as fans need to quit fighting on their behalf.
Platonic is essentially an independent Rare team. If you can think of it like that, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
That's it. But, okay, so... yeah, we're talking with him. This is where we can talk, I think, where we need to talk about how awesome Adam Park is. He was just such a joy to be around. And everybody was a joy, but Adam Park...
he's listening to this getting a really big head right now.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Adam Park, and here's why we're singling him out. He is a fan made good. He was a fan of Rare, and he's actually interviewed on Rare Replay. And he talks about how he's actually from the area around Twycross. And
there are 10 minutes of the Rare Replay documentary that IGN posted, and he explains this in that video clip.
And basically, he talked about how he went to the grocery store knowing that this is the same grocery store people from Rare shop at, the people who make these games. And he used the same analogy we've always used. He called it Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, like this magical place that, where all this stuff happens.
Yeah, this is like on the Simpsons episode Homer versus the City of New York. This is like Bart's vision of Mad Magazine.
Yeah, exactly. And he's good friends with Chris Alcock, who, of course, Chris Alcock, another fan made good, who actually participated in our first Hall of Fame, the 2013 Hall of Fame. He did like a 10-minute narration clip for us, wrote it, and narrated it just because he genuinely loves Rare.
Yeah.
And he's passionate. And Adam Park is exactly the same. And I just had so much fun talking with him because he's just a fan who's on the inside. And
super cool dude. Like I would love to just if I was ever passing through England, just grab a drink with this guy.
If you're just ever passing through England, just passing through England,
just passing through. I just found myself on this side of the Atlantic.
Just
no big
passing
deal.
through England, just going up to the North Pole to visit Santa. But you're just passing through.
Wait, that's quite a detour. Normally, I'd go through Canada if I was going to the North Pole.
Well, you were marooned out at sea, and you just happened to pass by England.
Yeah. And perhaps I wanted to go traditional and meet Popo Gijo.
Exactly. So
but like he's the kind of guy that I would want to fucking hang out with. Like all of the guys at Rare were just like, you want to be friends with them because they seem like the kind of people that we're friends with on the forum. They're just interesting, down to earth people that are passionate about games the same as you. It's so cool.
That's why we got such a big kick out of it too. It's that we actually wanted to be friends with these people. We weren't just like meeting idols. Like after a certain point, I stopped thinking of them as, oh my god, these are people from Rare. I was like, oh my god, there's Adam. I got to talk to him some more. There's
I want to
Drew.
see like so. Hey, how's the booth going? Have you had any cool people show up, or are people liking it?
Oh yeah.
It's like you're talking as peers at a certain point.
Oh, I bet you guys are tired. I bet you can't wait till the day's over. Yeah. It's just like, oh, how's the turnout today? Yeah, at a certain point you stop like fishing for like fan type stuff and you're generally interested in their day, and it's just like, whoa, what's happening here?
Oh my god, I've lost all vestiges of journalistic integrity,
and if you think
I'm becoming part of the story,
and if you think it was just us, DK Vine forum member MF Wolf was also in attendance at E3, and he interacted with a lot of these guys, and I'm sure he could tell you the exact same thing. Like
this is not just us. This is just how they were.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So I think that about sums up day one, right?
Jesus Christ. Let's hope so.
Well, day two, it was, we cut it a little bit short on day two because you were still feeling rough. We thought we had like a front loaded morning, and we decided we would cut it short, cut the morning short, go back and just work on like video stuff for the rest of the day.
Right.
We had to record the conversation, do all sorts of stuff. So we met up with Mike Currington, who is a former Rare staffer, also worked on things like Red Dead Redemption. And
he was on the Conquer team and then worked after he left Rare for Rockstar.
Yeah, we met him at the Rare booth the day before. We actually gave him a business card, and
he was talking to Robin Beanland during that interaction. So they're both from the Conquer team. So we gave him our info, and he contacted us that night and said he wanted to meet with us, and we met with him the next day, and we actually filmed an interview with him that's going to be going up on YouTube. I've watched the footage. It's going to be about 20 to 25 minutes long. It's a pretty cool interview. I think you guys will like it.
Yeah. He's working on a new game, and Party, and it's a fun little app, that
it's a puzzle title, and it's the kind of puzzle title that bends your brain over and has its way with it. It's really cool.
It's kind of the kind of game that I would love to play on the toilet. It's just no, you know what I mean. It's one of those fun, but generally like challenging titles that I'm not just blowing smoke out of my ass. Like I think I'd like to play it. So and yeah, he was just a really cool guy. Like everybody, I think it's a requirement if you work at Rare, you can't be an asshole.
Yeah, that's the first question they ask you.
Are you an asshole, sir?
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people have the wrong answer.
Because Sony is that way.
Right. So Sony, that's your foot in the door. Will you butt in line at at the hostess station for an LAX restaurant establishment and then be dickish about it? Yes or no? If you say yes, you're management material.
Oh man, I hope Playtonic is never bought by Sony or something, because then we would like have no access.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to step on anything with Mike Currington, because as I said, we interviewed him. That's going to be going up on YouTube. I'm really proud of the work we did there. I think it was a triumph of an interview.
Yeah, it was a good interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Despite the fact that the entire time my voice has sounded kind of like this, and so tell me about working on the Conquer project.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I need to recycle everything. I want to save the world, Jeff Goldblum.
So, well, we kind of cut our time with Rare short that day, and probably for our benefit, because then we gave them one day where we weren't weird hangers on our booth, but we met up with MF Wolf from the DK Vine forum and frequent conversation caller, multiple sclerosis Wolf.
Wait, don't you mean MF Wolf from off of the DK Vine forum?
I don't know what I mean anymore. Oh yeah, we went out to lunch with him. And by the way,
geez, not dropping names. Went out to lunch with MF Wolf. No big deal, guys. But no, when we were walking to lunch with him, there was the most surreal fucking moment.
Surreal moment that basically summed up E3 for us, I think.
Right.
Yeah, we were walking to lunch with him. We're trying to find some sort of like Mexican cantina.
Yeah, just kind of wandering somewhere in the vicinity of the LA Convention Center.
We were looking for Hooters because we knew this place was next to the Hooters.
Right, and we figured, of all these greasy nerds, someone will know where Hooters is.
Right. So we were walking, and all of a sudden, Robin Beamland passes us.
Well, I didn't even see him.
Yeah.
Like I was looking on my phone because I was trying to figure out whether or not we were moving in the correct direction of my little GPS reticle. But I heard, he said, "Hey guys," and like I looked up, and like Robin Beamland is walking past with a group of, I don't think they were Rare people. He must have been like doing an interview. Or I don't know what he was doing, but he recognized us completely divorced from the context of the Rare booth and said hi, and we were just like, "Hey, Robin," and went about our way. It was fucking insane.
That was like the moment I was like, "Oh yeah, E3 is magic."
Yeah,
like only at E3 could this happen.
Like this is Robin Beamland. He's like a hero of mine, and he just recognized us out in the wild.
Yeah. So yeah, we had lunch with MF Wolf. He played Which Brothers Bears Best, and we departed back to our luxurious Airbnb for the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of took it easy day two, honestly, because it was just already like we were just exhausted and running on fumes, less than fumes. Yeah. So day three. You want to talk a little bit about day three?
Sure. So we knew we had to do a little bit of Nintendo diligence. We had already looked at Skylanders. That was a big Donkey Kong Universe title, but we wanted to at least spend a little bit of time there. We met up again with MF Wolf, and hit up the Nintendo booth after, of course, making our stop by basically every day. We started our day with Rare. We ended our day with Rare.
Like any healthy day in a young man's life.
The best part of waking up is replaying your cup. I don't want to know what that's a euphemism for. Jesus Christ, what could be in your cup? But so we decided to have the middle part of our day be Nintendo. We needed to.
We got to put the DK in DK Vine, right?
After all, I did see someone, by the way, in line for Star Fox that was wearing that that atrocious DK64 shirt that was a Toys R Us promotional tie-in.
Yeah.
The one that I own as well, which is like it's a full shirt print of Donkey Kong's giant face and bananas. But anyway, I was like, oh my god, this guy's a Donkey Kong fan. So I gave him one of our business cards, and pitched the conversation to him. So that was kind of cool. I made like a little fan networking thing.
Oh yeah. At the Rare booth, this was one of the days I was wearing one of my 2 Diddy Kong shirts from Fangamer, and I ran into a guy wearing a Diddy Kong shirt at the Rare booth, and he was like, "Oh hey, nice shirt, man." I was like, "Oh yeah, hey."
He was wearing the same shirt.
He was wearing a different one. I don't know where he got it, but
Okay.
it was the stars were a little bit smaller, and I was like, oh wow, that's just so weird meeting a guy wearing a Diddy Kong shirt, like only at E3.
So we got in line initially to play because there were 3 of us, MF Wolf, you, and me, and we wanted to try the Zelda Triforce Power Team Squad, or whatever the subtitle is. I didn't actually clock it. But it's a 3-player game, so we thought, okay, perfect. We got in line. It was about a 20-30 minute line. Thankfully, there were these people distributing or walking around with Nintendo 3DSs like tethered to their bodies. So while you're waiting in line, they'll let you try out other games.
Or you can just watch the shenanigans on the Treehouse stage or the other stage show for Mario Maker.
Oh yeah, well the Mario Maker stage was fantastic because just judging by what I overheard, there was a host who was enamored with his Rob Schneider "You can do it" impression.
Yeah, really thinking that Happy Madison humor was just the height of humor in 2015.
We were in line for maybe 20 minutes, and we heard this guy yell out, "You can do it," no less than 8 times. It was like every 2.5 minutes he would drop that line. We're like, Jesus Christ, is Rob Schneider your like stepbrother, and he's collecting royalties every time you say that?
Honestly, it probably was Rob Schneider.
Guess what, folks? Guess what? He rolled out of bed because they paid him.
And that's I don't want to rag on the Nintendo thing, because the Nintendo show floor felt to me like a Nintendo version of Disney World. It was all manufactured fun, but it was like
It was sanitized.
It was completely sanitized.
And not in the way that you would want at E3, because I didn't see any Purell. I would have loved an actually sanitized Nintendo booth.
You know, they had Purell at the Rare booth, right? Like,
yeah, I know. I used some of it. I think
Yeah.
it was for employees, but I snuck a spurt of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is, and I completely understand that anybody who was experiencing E3 from home, they don't give a shit if like Nintendo floor presence sucks. You're still getting the content from at home. You're getting the Treehouse. I understand that you're not getting the same negative experience we got. So it is what it is. But
yeah, it's Nintendo clearly is they're not treating it as an industry event, and maybe that's the way that it should be moving forward. I've actually often felt that E3 could be a very democratized event where you distribute demos to people's home consoles, let them try them out, and there could be you run the risk of bricking someone's console if there's a horrible bug, but
yeah.
I still feel like there could be a way to bring it to the masses. However, the fact that there is still this Los Angeles LA Convention Center component to it, that's the opportunity to have the developers interact directly with people the way that Rare did. And
from what I understand, it used to be that way with Nintendo. I don't know what changed. I assume this changed in the last several years, but
they're definitely keeping everyone at arm's length.
Back when E3 was a new concept in the 90s, they would send all these people down from Redmond to show the games. They would fucking Gunpei Yokoi showed off the Virtual Boy. That was a punishment, but he was still there showing it off to people.
That was at a Japanese trade show.
Are you I thought it was at E3. It was at E3 96 too.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It was when the Virtual Boy was a flop. already like a confirmed flop.
Yeah, I could have sworn that was like at a Space World event. But...
It might have been. I thought it was E3 '96. I could be mistaken. You at home, find out for us because we're not going to do any research.
Get on the case, Sean.
Come on, Saf. I know it's in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. And, you know, we played Zelda with MF Wolf. And, okay, can I do...
I also played the game that I played in line tethered to one of their booth ladies was Chibi Robot something or other. He's like a little silver robot, and he swings around his electrical cord. It was okay.
Ew, and it like this is for kids?
Yeah, he plugs it into any socket that he can find. It was all right. It was kind of clunky as a platformer, but you know, it's
also probably hard to fully absorb a game when you're standing surrounded by thousands of people on a sweaty show floor.
Yeah, but this is also like
playing a game tethered to a woman who's paid to be there but doesn't know anything about the game.
That's the thing. Like I was asking her question. Like I don't know anything about Chibi Robo, so it wasn't like I was asking deep cuts. You know.
Yeah, the greatest hits from the anthology tracks from Chibi Robo.
Chibi Robo, right. I was just kind of asking some greatest hits style questions like, what is Chibi Robo? and she wasn't really like, MF Wolf told me more about the backstory of Chibi Robo than this lady could. So
MF Wolf was the best booth babe there.
Yeah, oh baby. So we finally got our hands on Triforce Power Team Alpha, and it was fun. The thing is though,
it's going to be impossible to play online.
Yeah, and like the lady, so you know, we ultimately lost because you share a health meter.
At least the lady explaining the game was a little bit cooler in that she was actually a Nintendo fan.
Oh yeah, and she had like some pretty rad Pokemon tattoos and stuff. So
and I was like, oh, what is Donkey Kong not good enough for you?
Like as we started, I was like, oh, so who's your starter on Red and Blue? And she was like, Charmander, obviously. And I was like, I had Bulbasaur, and
really, because I had Squirtle.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I would have kicked your ass, but she would have kicked mine.
Well,
so.
No, because I had strategy, man. I could beat.
Yeah, your strategy was never evolving your Rattata. I don't think that qualifies as strategy. That's stubbornness.
No, I got two: one to never evolve and one to evolve.
You just had to get that Raticate on your Pokédex,
and I wanted to have a level 100 of every Pokemon.
How'd that work out for you?
I gave up after level 100 Raticate.
So, you know, she was pretty cool though. She actually could engage on the video gamedom. There were a few of them that were like that, so I don't want to throw them all under the bus. But
no.
You know, she
that's for Whizpig.
She did a great job. She did a great job explaining the game to us, and it was just a really hard game. We were kind of dumped into a pretty advanced stage.
Was that it?
It was a temple, and then it was a temple
because I thought I just sucked at it.
No, you also sucked at it.
Okay.
But and we were sharing a health bar, so you would like deplete it all, and then we were like, God damn it, Isle. But there were these there were a lot of like arrows being fired that you have to use all three. It's more involved than Four Swords. So. If that game was your bag, great. The only thing is, like when we finished, she was so. What's your feedback? You know, good thoughts, bad thoughts, and I was pretty honest. I said, if this thing is online without voice chat, it's going to be an absolute mess. And then she looked kind of dejected. She was like, oh. I was like, but local play was a lot of fun.
Can we have our buttons now?
Yeah, I was like, and the buttons. Like, I was hoping we would get like a little Triforce pin or something like that. Because I mean, I'm a Zelda fan more so than you are. We've discussed that before. But
I mean, I like I said, I like Zelda. I'm just not a Zelda fanatic. Like a lot of Nintendo fans are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Zelda fanatic, but I certainly poured over Hyrule Historia.
Oh yeah, so did I. Because I'm at least interested in it. I'm just not,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a Triforce tattoo anytime soon.
Yeah, neither am I. Although for a while I did have a Triforce sticker on my laptop.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you shaved your pubes in the shape of the Triforce.
Well, yeah, of course I did that as well, but it grows out after a couple weeks. So anyway, like unfortunately, all the stickers or the pins and stuff, they were all Mario Maker themed. So I think,
they were pushing the hell out of Mario Maker, man.
Yeah,
it was perplexing to me because Star Fox is right there. You would think that's the big game to push, but whatever.
Mario Maker, yeah, I guess they know what side their bread's buttered on. So yeah, I think I got like an 8-bit Goomba. Pin.
Oh yeah, I don't even think I took it with me. I don't even know what happened to that pin.
You chunked it at Bill Trinan.
There was only one pin I was concerned about, and we got those. So
that we did. Those were our pins.
I'm clutching it right now, honestly.
That's completely unnecessary. Although you know what, I've got mine on the table right here.
Yeah,
I am now clutching it as well. Look. Still in the wrapper.
Oh yeah, I put mine back in the wrapper.
You're not supposed to reuse those, Heil. That can lead to pregnancy.
Oh, well.
So we then got in line to play Star Fox Zero.
I did not. This is when I started feeling sick. This is when I started coming down with whatever Chad had.
Yeah, and I remember you were telling me like, "Ooh, I think I got a tickle in my throat," and I just gave you a death stare and said, "Cry me a fucking river."
Yeah. Well,
I was like, "Fuck you, man."
But this is where I started to feel feverish. So I was like, you know what? I got to sit down because I'm not going to make it to the end of the day if I don't sit down. So I actually went a couple places. As I mentioned, there's the Nintendo. I found the bathroom that the Nintendo of Japan employees were using. So I decided to camp out in a stall there to see if I could overhear any juicy gossip.
Yeah, it's just a wide stance. Don't worry about it.
I did not hear anything. I did hear the guy in the stall next to me really straining. So I hope he got some Activia or something for that.
Yeah.
So
maybe it was his cuttlefish diet.
I was also really considering like filming
that's a South Park reference.
Oh well, we've already discussed South Park.
I
thought about like filming a video in a stall and then maybe we could like overdub some dialogue, like secret E3 scoop, but I was like, if we get anybody's tennis shoes or whatever on film, they could sue the hell out of us for privately filming them in a men's room.
Especially if it's Craig Duncan's custom rare trainers, because you'd immediately know who it was.
Oh, I kept staring at those bad boys. Those were awesome.
Yeah, those are some cool fucking
but
shoes.
It's like if Bill Trinan, went to the loo and had to take a massive dump. And
that is the world's worst children's nursery rhyme. Bill Trinan went to the loo and he had to take a dump.
Anyway, so I nixed that idea. So I went to the treehouse and I sat in the audience there with Helmost.
How'd that go for you?
They gave Helmost some dirty looks.
Not a fan of Barrow Whites, eh?
No, apparently not. They were like, is there tomfoolery going on without us? That is not allowed at Nintendo.
You're not allowed to have fun when playing video games.
You can't do it.
So, as MF Wolf and I were standing in line to play Star Fox, another booth attendant with DSs tethered to her walked by and let us play, what's it called? Mario and Luigi Paper Jam? The Paper Mario Luigi mashup.
Yeah.
It was okay. There was one mode that I immediately abandoned where you're like in this giant Mario mech, and I'm like, I kind of want to just play the regular game.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of like a traditional Paper Mario title or Mario and Luigi, in that it's you have the action buttons in the middle of your turn-based fighting. One of the things that was relatively new to at least the games I've played, the Paper Mario games I've played, is that when you're being attacked, you can jump to dodge those attacks and also kind of attack back if you jump on an enemy's head. So it's really basically, I don't know exactly who it appeals to, because it seems like it waters down a platformer concept by injecting RPG elements, and it waters down RPG elements by injecting these action platformer elements to a pretty extreme degree. So it feels like the worst of both worlds.
I like the concept of the game. I think it's a cool idea.
Right, I'm just talking more the gameplay.
I didn't play the game, so I have no way to comment on that right now. But.
And granted, I mean that's my opinion after
not being familiar with certainly Mario and Luigi. Also, Super Paper Mario is my favorite entry in Paper Mario's franchise, which is an extremely unpopular opinion.
That's the wrong opinion.
It's
That's
the
like
wrong
saying,
opinion.
That's like saying Other M is your favorite Metroid game or Star Fox Adventures is your favorite Star Fox game.
Super Paper Mario is hilarious. They make you run on a treadmill for 15 minutes. It is so funny.
Well, speaking of Crystal,
So, God damn it. Not like this conversation is making me re-lose my voice.
you're never going to get healthy. This is a
I'm
weekly
never
show.
going to be healthy.
This is a weekly show.
Fuck. But anyway, like I understand.
You're
that
going to have to take another sabbatical. Joe's going to have to take over for another 4 months.
Oh, poor Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. I understand that my Mario RPG, franchise opinions are certainly not in the norm. So maybe it's the perfect blending of worlds. To me, it seemed like sort of it's trying to be too many things and not succeeding at any. But again, I only played it for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Then finally, we got up to play Star Fox Zero.
It took forever because like the missions in Star Fox are long. So, and it's a one-player game, so it takes like forever to get up there.
Yeah, it was like a 12 to 15 minute churn. So we were standing in line about an hour, and that was just with 4 people in front of us. But thankfully, we got up there, and okay, so you can check out the video.
Yes, check this out.
Check out the video of me playing Star Fox Zero that MF Wolf, very graciously videoed for us.
Because I couldn't be bothered.
Because you couldn't be bothered. Heil was pulling a Ringo. So the booth lady, I hate the term booth babe. The booth gentlewoman. She
the booth dame. How?
All right. So we have established that Los Angeles is where stereotypes come from. But this lady...
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
No, you don't. This lady, and I'm going to put on a bit of a voice. I apologize.
Oh
in
no,
advance.
this is going to get us in so much trouble, Chad.
It may. When we got up to the line, she said she just had this glazed over look. This is day 3. She is fucking done. She is checked out. And she said, "Okay, everyone gather around. I want the next 5 people sort of get in a circle around me. So this is Star Fox Zero. This is the controller. You move forward like this. You move back like this. You double click this button to do the barrel roll move. You can fire your bombs. You can charge your bomb by holding the trigger. You shoot like this. You do this. Blah, blah, blah. It was her spiel, just in a monotone, totally disinterested. And she gathered us all around. She goes, because I don't want to have to repeat this so many times, so I just want to kind of tell you all at once, this is how it is. I'm losing my voice. And I was like, yeah, I can understand that. And I was like, all right, fine, good. She'll be hands off. I'll actually get to and try and enjoy the game. As soon as she realized that we were going to be videotaping this, her entire demeanor changed. And to me, this is the part that you didn't get to see. This is why it is so unfortunate that Nintendo is hiring models to be their booth attendants, because A, they're largely disinterested with the games, with a few exceptions that we've discussed previously. B, they are clamoring for attention, especially attention with any permanence. As soon as she realized that we are going to be showing our playthrough of the game online to a potentially wider audience than the 5 of you who are going to be playing next, she got enthusiastic. She started injecting. She started just jabbering in my ear, like, "Oh, go over here, go over there, get that ring. Oh, well, maybe not. That's okay. All right, you need to go up now. The next set."
Can I just
tunnels,
Can I just point out? I find it hilarious. You can't do a Paul McCartney, but you can do this voice spot on.
And mind you, I apologize. My Scandinavian accent is very, very off tonight. No, this is what this lady sounded like, and MF Wolf will corroborate. And you can listen to the fucking video.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's on our YouTube channel.
She just would not stop jabbering, and it's like and granted, there's no way she could have known that I have literally played every Star Fox game that has ever come out or not come out. I fucking played Star Fox 2 on a SNES emulator. Like, I know my way around Star Fox. I can figure it out, and it should have been pretty apparent after 5 minutes of me playing this that you know, it's a new game. It's got this weird kind of clunky mechanic where you have to look up and down, and there's no indication of which screen you should be looking at. But like, she was so fixated on trying to inject herself into the video and be a presence on our video that she was distracting me from the game that she's supposed to be there to promote.
Well, you should have been asking her pertinent continuity questions like, how does Fox's time on Dinosaur Planet play into his adventure here?
Well, thankfully, MF Wolf did ask her, is this a prequel? Is this a sequel? What's going on? And we heard someone before us ask this same question. She was like, I don't know. But because we were recording, she said, oh, let me go find that out for you. And she mercifully left us alone for 2.5 minutes while she was trying to find an answer. But it was like, ooh, when the cameras come out, she's on her fucking A game. Just like this double-faced, really kind of slimy attitude that is, it's embodied by Los Angelinos in general, or at least the ones that we interacted with.
Don't sell
hang on.
a lot.
Let me finish my sentence, and I'll qualify it. At least the ones we interacted with when we lived there, and the city was full of these people.
I met many nice Los Angelinos.
I met many disgusting fake Los Angelinos that were trying to climb hand and foot over you for their career, and this is what I got at the Star Fox booth, and it really put a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm glad that we got to preserve it for posterity, because this lady kind of ruined my playthrough of Star Fox. She was like, I was asking how to fucking like strafe as the chicken robot, and she was just saying, no, you don't need to do that. Just shoot it. Just shoot it. Just shoot it. Just shoot it, because you want to destroy it. Just shoot it. I'm like, I'm asking you for controls. You know the controls. That's what you're literally here to do, and you're telling me don't do that thing. Like, I saw it in Nintendo's goddamn Direct that the robot chicken can strafe.
Wait, they didn't. I didn't know Robot Chicken had a presence this year. I thought it was all Muppets.
Yeah, no, this was Seth Green's one contribution.
Oh, okay.
Was the R-Wing transformation.
Well, how was the game itself?
Honestly, I was kind of disappointed with. Well, it's made by the same company that's done Bayonetta 2. They're famous for this sort of bullet storm aesthetic.
Yeah.
So there was a whole lot of shit flying at the screen that really didn't mean anything to the gameplay.
Now, did you play Star Fox Assault or Command?
I played both of those. Not as thoroughly as you did with Assault, but I played Command through at least to one of the endings. And in Command's control scheme was worse than this, certainly. But one of the frustrating elements with the controls here was that like there are sections where all of a sudden the TV screen just sort of goes into this cinematic mode, and it requires you to look down at the gamepad, but there's no real indication when it switches. It's just all of a sudden you've lost control of the camera, and you have to figure that out. Like, oh, I guess this is a gamepad section. You know, they could have had some sort of subtle, like an arrow pointing down, or you know, there could have been a way to do it, or even have the camera like zoom into the cockpit of the R-Wing, or I don't know. I'm hoping that there are some things they still need to iron out in the title, but I know it's coming out this fall. This is their big November game.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising because I don't think Star Fox has the name value to be the big November game. But
another thing I'm disappointed with is that. So I was sort of intrigued last year when this game was announced as an episodic adventure.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Yeah, that there was no mention whatsoever of that idea, and that seemed really intriguing because Star Fox does have a lot of heavy story elements, and to make
it used to at least
yeah, back when Rare ruined it. It's unfortunate that they abandoned that, because that was one of the unique things that I really hadn't seen before in a Star Fox game, and all this was Star Fox 64 new play control.
That's what I've gathered watching your video. It just, so much of it reminded me of, it was a remixed Star Fox 64. It was like, oh, here, remember this bit? Well, here it's slightly different.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate to harp on it, but because, you know, ultimately it really doesn't matter when you consider the gameplay, but the graphics are horrendous. It looks
horrendous.
Like
wow, those are some fighting words.
No, it's bad. It's really bad. it looks like a GameCube era Nintendo game. It looks worse than Star Fox Adventures because that's a Rare game.
Well, what about?
And
I mean,
they
it looks
always-
better than Star Fox Assault.
No, it really doesn't, man.
Oh.
It's in HD, but
Oh.
Namco did a lot better texture work.
Yeah. The thing about Star Fox Assault is it looks like an ugly game in stills, but in motion, it's actually kind of pretty.
Yeah, this
For
thing-
the era, it was, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the R-Wing is not going to look all that spectacular because it was designed on the SNES to be very polygonal in shape. Rare did a great job, like distressing it, making it look like the X-Wings from the original trilogy.
Because Rare has to add that extra level of detail.
Yeah, and well, they care enough to do that. This thing, it like look at the grass textures in the video. Look at the waterfalls. While MF Wolf and I were waiting in line, we were looking at these waterfalls, and just you can see the polygons where it's where the fall is like starting to cascade down, and then it's just sort of a texture moving in a single direction. There's no volume to it. It is the lowest common denominator. It's like so lazy. They just crapped out these GameCube era textures, slapped them on a plastic lunchbox, and now they're selling it. They want to sell it.
Well, it cracks me up that they're just essentially remaking Star Fox 64 again.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what people want, though. They just want that game remade again and again.
This is the thing that I really have a hard time understanding about Shigeru Miyamoto, because he's supposed to be this creative genius who never runs out of ideas, and you compare him to Japanese creative genius contemporaries like Hayao Miyazaki. He is consistently.
Well, they're in different industries, though.
I know they're in different industries, but I'm just talking like you talk about these people that supposedly are creative well springs that never run dry. Miyazaki embodies that. Shigeru Miyamoto, for the last 10 years, has been remaking the same games over and over again.
Yeah, I know, but considering he fathered so many genres as it is, maybe...
No, but what I'm saying is, with him, either he's tapped out of ideas or he's more or less kind of apathetic. Because if Star Fox Zero is his big passion project, sorry, but outside the fact that you gotta waggle around the gamepad to get a first-person view, there is nothing innovative about that title.
But Chad, the Zero looks like a fox's tail.
It does look like a fox's tail.
That's pretty innovative.
It doesn't mean it's a prequel. He just likes the shape of a circle.
He likes zeros. What can he say?
I just don't.
That's so Japan Magic Creative, like our old catchphrase.
I mean, and I don't want to slag off Miyamoto too much because of course, he's the father of all these things. But
yeah,
he just it really feels like he's been phoning it in for a while. And Star Fox Zero crystallizes that for me without having crystal.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, and that's kind of why I was disappointed when I found out he was making a new Star Fox game, because the gameplay is going to be generally solid, but you're not going to get any of that extra added love and detail. It's going to be just kind of bare bones at times with him.
Yeah. So
it is what it is. But so we fled back to Rare at that point.
Yes, we fled back to Rare and had probably a conversation that only us, we idiots from DK Vine could have had with a Rare employee.
Yeah, well, it should be pointed out that we also we got to say goodbye to Craig Duncan before our Nintendo adventure, because he was leaving early, and he told us what time he was leaving. He wanted to say goodbye to us. Amazing, just. We had another 15-minute discussion with him, and it was just.
And this is the degree of workhorse that he is. He was leaving midday because he had an afternoon flight. This is Thursday. No, yeah, this is Thursday afternoon, and he needed to be back in the studio.
9 a.m. He said, right?
I don't think there's any way. Logistically, it could have been 9 a.m. because you lose all that time flying that direction across the globe.
Yeah.
But he had to be at work at some point on Friday, so he was leaving L.A. Thursday, losing time, probably losing nearly a full day to get back to London, getting a connecting, I guess, just driving his car.
Yeah, I'm sure his car was just parked at,
to
you know.
Twycross.
Yeah.
And going back in the studio on Friday. He didn't even take the weekend to recuperate.
And it should be pointed out that everybody who was still at Twycross was apparently celebrating the whole time. Well, there was pictures on, you know, Twitter and whatnot of the cakes, but they were in such a celebratory mood, not just because of any like anniversary celebrations they were having, but because of the reception, the resurgence of Rare.
You know, and it kind of it's fun that it occurred to me that like if that's the time now, like I guess they've decided that this is when Rare's 30th anniversary is at this point in mid June. You know, I turned 30 like 3 days later.
Oh, that's sweet.
Isn't that cool?
That's so sweet. That's adorable.
Yeah, me and Rare, our birthdays, our actual birth dates are about a week apart. That's pretty awesome. Rare's been around literally my entire life.
I had a dark year before Rare came about. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, those were your ultimate days, but you were probably a little too young to play the game.
I was. So we got to say goodbye to Craig Duncan, and he was just so sweet to us. And I was just like, you've been nothing but kind to us. And he said, well, I've had no reason not to be. Like, you've done nothing to piss me off. So you know, and then we got to talk some more with basically the Rare people who were sticking around at that point. And so that's really where we got to this talk with Drew Quackenbush, and we got to talk with Peter Hentz, who up until this point, we didn't really.
Yeah, so I was playing Banjo-Kazooie on Rare Replay and just kind of blasting through Mumbo's Mountain as quick as I could, and he kind of walked up and we were talking, and sort of what I sort of used, and I think at this point you were talking with Robin, right?
I was talking with Robin or Drew,
yeah. And kind of my jumping off point whenever I would meet a new Rare person is, when did you start at Rare? And then, you know, using my knowledge of the history, I'd be like, oh, so were you working on this or this? What was your first project? And he said 2000, and he said he was working on Mickey. And I said, oh, so were you on the Jet Force team? And because I know that the same team that did Jet Force Gemini did Mickey Speedway USA. But he was like, no, the Game Boy one, Mickey's Racing Adventure. And I was like, oh my God, you were on the handheld team? So then we started talking about the Rare Cow. And
as one naturally does.
As one would do. And you know, we found out that the reason that it only appears in certain Rare handheld titles, 5 of them, is because it's that group. There were apparently like at least 2, possibly 3, I didn't get a final number, groups of employees at Rare that were working on handheld projects, but they kept the teams consistent. So I think he said it was Kerry Gunn who established the Rare Cow in Conker's Pocket Tales, and then they carried it through all the way to ultimately Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. But this is kind of when you joined the conversation. We started talking about Grunty's Revenge.
Yeah, I think you got my attention. You're like, Heil, he worked on Grunty's Revenge. And I was like, excuse me.
Yeah, I told him the anecdote before you walked over that we were talking about Spiller's Harbor, and I said that Matt Corna, when he would do shows with his band, they would do their sound test by playing Spiller's Harbor, and he got so excited about that because he designed Spiller's Harbor. He designed that entire stage.
So at this point, I feel like I have a good in on the conversation,
right?
And I say, so Spiller's Harbor. There's a room in Spiller's Harbor, and it's called the Tip Tup Suite. And there's a theory on DK Vine that this Tip Tup Suite may be where Tip Tup the turtle was conceived. And at this point, he doubles over in laughter.
He just started fucking cracking up when you said that.
And I think part of the reason is, who the hell is going to discuss Spiller's Harbor with him on the show floor at E3? Like, this is like such as weird of an experience as it is for us. It's, I think, a weird experience for these guys too.
Yeah, but they loved it though. Like I think they were really, especially considering like Grunty's Revenge wasn't in Rare Replay. No one was promoting. There's no good reason why anyone at E3 should bring up
Grunty's
anything
Revenge,
to do with Grunty's Revenge.
And by the way, we asked about the handheld games, and I think they just basically decided if we're going to hit 30 titles, we've got to like be selective, and they just kind of agreed to not put the handheld titles in. Right, there wasn't any grand conspiracy there.
Right. I mean, how can I phrase this? We mentioned on the forum, but I might as well mention here. They said that there were discussions about potentially including additional titles.
Because we kept bringing up It's Mr. Pants. It's Mr. Pants.
Yeah, come on, man. So far, the only pants representation is a vehicle part in Nuts and Bolts and graffiti in Toffret in Jet Force Gemini. You need more, damn it. Oh, and in Banjo-Tooie, of course.
Yeah. Mr. Pants' first physical appearance is in Banjo-Tooie. Come on, man.
His first physical non-cheat code appearance. Yes.
His first physical canon appearance.
Right.
We
are such goddamn idiots.
Well, I think they appreciate that, Chad. I think we played the idiot card perfectly.
Very few people can say that.
So anyway, we're talking about Spiller's Harbor, and we're talking about the Tip Top Suite, and I think it was
playing the idiot card perfectly.
Yeah, and then you brought up the mysterious stains.
I refer to them as suspicious stains all around the Tip Top Suite.
And he basically copped to it. Like he said that, what did he say? That there was a lot of things in Spiller's Harbor that were put there on purpose.
Yeah, he said, oh, if you actually examine some of the land masses around Spiller's Harbor, you'll be shocked.
Which we still need to do, by the way.
We do, yeah. But
I mean, obviously, there's Mr. Drippy.
Who is literally his species is a squid.
Well, there's Alfred P. Cock. It's called Spiller's Harbor. So we asked him, is this confirmation that the Tip Top Suite is where Tip Top was conceived? And I think he basically gave us the green light, right?
Well, okay. So what he did say was that I think you're gonna have you can interpret that as you will, and then I clarified. I said, so does that mean that we get to decide? And he goes, yeah, sure, why not? So, word of God, we are the word of God on Tip Top Suite.
we did it. This is where confetti comes down from the ceiling.
We have been granted on this one issue and this one issue only word of God status.
So that makes Tip Top's father a semi-canonical character.
Yes, he's about as canon at the moment as the DK rappers.
So one weird trick to grow your dick from Tip Top's father, a DK Vine original. So. It was just the joy of seeing this guy who worked on Grunty's Revenge talking about like the intimate details of Grunty's Revenge with us. That's just amazing. It
was really cool.
Yeah, it's just such a cool moment. And eventually at that point we said our goodbyes to all the rare guys who were still there, and we went on our way.
Yeah. It was kind of sad to go, but like, because there was square footage. The E3 convention, the LA Convention Center is fucking enormous, and Rare.
It's bifurcated. We had no idea it straddled the highway, basically.
Yeah, it straddles Pico, which is like a 6-lane thoroughfare in the middle of LA. We basically spent the majority of our time at these 6 monitors in this little section of the Xbox booth that was getting nowhere near the attention of like Tomb Raider or
Halo
for that matter. But it was so encouraging to see people, like, day by day. You'd get more and more people coming in and start to remember these titles that they played as a kid.
And now Rare Replay is the most pre-ordered game from E3 on Amazon.
Yeah, not the most pre-ordered Xbox game, not the the most pre-ordered fucking game from E3. I am so just enthusiastic about that. I'm like, this is clearly, in the same way that I was seeing the results of Playtonic's Kickstarter. This is to me Rare's version of that. They are now being validated by this direction that the studio has taken.
It's like I was telling Peter Hintz about this, talking about this with him, that this is the right year to do this because we finally hit the point where nostalgia has caught up with Rare's classics, and people are hungry for them, and they're not disparaging them or trying to retroactively make them into some sort of terrible thing.
Yeah, but Heil, grab all the ghoulies.
You still get that, and you're still going to get that,
right?
But,
of course.
But I think the results are speaking for themselves. This is the Rare Renaissance, and so that leaves us with the question as we left E3: is Rare a healthy, viable studio who is in the middle of this resurgence, or were we just starstruck and were we just rubes who fed into the hype of it all?
No, that's the thing.
Because you know, people are going to walk out of this episode with that impression.
Of course, because people on the internet are largely cynical. But I hope that our audience is familiar enough with our history with Rare, the ups and downs, the good times and the what is the the hard times and the good.
Yeah.
The praise you. We've seen the bad, we've lived through it, and we've unfortunately engaged in some of the pretty bitter naysaying, and I do feel regretful about that, but I think that Rare is kind of now admitting that is not the direction that they should have or in many cases wanted to go in either. And
I think under Craig Duncan, under Phil Spencer, who's really allowing this to happen, he's a Rare fanboy. He requested that the only shirt he wear at the Microsoft conference was a Rare shirt.
This is Phil Spencer, who makes Carrie Bradshaw's closet look small by comparison. All right,
is that really a Sex and the City reference?
That was a Sex and the City reference.
Like we're like three hours in.
I know.
All right.
Phil Spencer is the Mr. Big at Microsoft. Sorry, I'm on Team Aiden.
Good Lord. You are
this is what happens when you get married, Russell. It'll happen to you too.
We'll see. So I know you, and I hope I'm not getting too personal, Chad. I know you had kind of an emotional reaction when you finally got on a plane, and
it just kind of like it was all so adrenaline fueled and so shocking that we're having these interactions that once I finally sat down on the plane back to New York and I started unpacking everything that happened in the last week, I got a little misty. It was like, holy shit, this actually happened, and these are these are the sort of interactions that as a 10-year-old playing Donkey Kong Country 2, I couldn't have in my wildest dreams thought that I would be. We didn't even talk about the fact that we met Ken Lobb.
Oh yeah, we had a brief interaction with Ken Lobb, and he had heard of us. So
yeah, Ken Lobb knew who we were. Greg Mayles, the guy who fucking designed, oh my God, Robin fucking Beanland, and all the people that were up until now just sort of these nameless Rare drones, with a few exceptions. We knew Chris Alcock because he was a Scribe superstar like the rest of us,
Like the rest of us.
Come on, we're all Scribe superstars around here, but he actually made good and got the damn job. But, outside those very few elements, Rare has always been so closed off. And the fact that not only is that not the case, but that we were there to witness it personally, it just, words defy how much.
It meant the world to us. It really did.
Yeah.
I didn't have this emotional reaction that you had because I was immediately thrust into LAX hell. Running a fever, having my flight canceled, getting the last seat on the last plane to DC for a day with my airline, and then getting vomited on when I sat down.
Right.
So this didn't hit me until the next night, and I was finally cleaned up. I was just laying down in bed. I had my laptop with me, and I was like, you know what? I haven't actually sat down and watched the Sea of Thieves and Rare Replay trailer since that first day. I wanna sit down and watch this on YouTube. They said, the whole thing, unedited thing, is on YouTube. Like for Sea of Thieves, they had the new Rare logo show up at the end, kind of like corroded a little bit, and I wanted to see that, so I watched that. It was amazing. I watched the Rare Replay trailer then, okay, and something happened. The Fatboy Slim song you referenced started to play, and it was that lyric. It was that we've come a long, long way together through the hard times and the good. I choked up.
It's perfect.
I actually started sobbing. I'm not ashamed to admit this.
No, dude, I just copped to the same on the airplane.
I realized that this company, this developer of video games that has been a part of my life since I was 11 years old.
Right.
Who they brought such joy to my childhood. They got me through a tough adolescence.
Same here, man.
They kept me young at heart when I became an adult, and they introduced me to some of the greatest friends I'll ever make in my life.
Right.
The fact that this group of guys and gals, they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Not only are they going to be okay, but they're being given the opportunity to thrive. Like there's nowhere to go but up from here, and it's like, and they're doing it in such a smart way where now the anonymity, in my mind at least, is stripped away from Rare. Like, we get to know who the programmers are. We get, by way of these documentaries and these interactions, Adam Park is now a known entity.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past he might have just been, a Connect Sports employee 5312.
Look at Mike Currington. He was there for years. We just learned about him at E3, but now he's a known entity to us, even though he no longer works there.
Yeah. Like, I'm so excited that not only is Rare being celebrated, but these people are being celebrated,
and that's what feels so great to me, that these people who are responsible for all of this in our lives, they're not just names and credits. They're such a part of our lives, whether we knew it or not, and that they're being allowed to make what they want to make, that they're allowed to thrive again, that Rare is something I've never lost my love for, but it's something I definitely thought was more or less in the past.
Yeah, it seemed like that element of your childhood that just by virtue of the passage of time and what happens sometimes, it felt like we were never really going to get that back in a new sense. All we would have is nostalgia, but that's no longer the case. That's the part.
And then, we got a taste of it earlier this year with Playtonic, and then over the course of just 4 amazing days, Rare has never felt this strong to me since I was a kid. I'm so happy that they're okay. I can't sum it up better than that. I'm just overly joyed that Rare, the right people are in charge, and the future looks so bright. And I'm seriously getting emotional because I never thought we would be here again.
Yeah, it has. We say on the forum, never been a better time to join. It has never been a better time to be a Rare fan, which is, considering what the 90s and early 2000s were like, is a shocking statement that I never thought I would make.
And say what you will, be skeptical about Sea of Thieves, whatever. Be as cynical as you want to be, but allow us the chance to be optimistic and allow us the chance to be joyful about something, because
I don't even feel like I need to be optimistic now. They have earned my trust.
Oh yeah. I just meant, like, allow us the pure enthusiasm, just because life is so much better when you're not being bitter about every little thing. And
this is the thing that I want our listeners to expect from us moving forward. We have been given every last reason to give Rare the benefit of the doubt. So if there are announcements about games, announcements about the studio direction, we are not going to be the ones with the immediate knee-jerk negative hypothetical doomsday scenarios. We're going to take those sorts of things within the context of these interactions that we've had at E3 and the direction that we see the studio going in now, and with a healthy dollop of trust, because at this point we have every reason to trust what Rare is doing.
If in your eyes that makes us shills or sellouts, then so be it. But honestly, there's no reason to be cynical anymore.
We've been with this company, we've been following this company for long enough that we are, I think, uniquely positioned to understand when it's just a lot of lip service and when there's a legitimate reason to pay attention in a very positive way. And that latter scenario is what's happening right now.
Yeah. I really do think that at this point in time, Rare could really be the best developer ever on any platform. The magic is back. Yeah. The magic is back.
And they also make a damn good bowling game.
They do. The best.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.